In today's digital age, literacy has evolved beyond traditional notions of reading and writing. 21st century literacy is a multifaceted concept that encompasses a wide range of skills, including digital literacy, information literacy, media literacy, and cultural literacy. It's about being able to navigate and critically evaluate information from a variety of sources, communicate effectively across diverse media and platforms, and collaborate with others in a globalized and interconnected world.
21st century literacy is essential for success in both academic and professional settings, as well as for active citizenship and personal fulfillment. As such, it's more important than ever to foster and develop these vital skills in learners of all ages. 21st century literacy is about equipping learners with the knowledge, skills, and competencies they need to thrive in the 21st century and beyond.
Good day, everyone. I am Frias.
And I am Christine de Castro, and we are your Masters of Ceremonies for today.
As we start, may we request everyone to pay respect and homage as we do an opening prayer to be followed by the national anthem.
Let us bow our heads and put ourselves in the presence of the Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for gathering all of us today. May you bestow your guidance and blessings so that we can enjoy and appreciate its significance in our lives. Bless everyone who are present here today, that each one of us may be able to share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom for your glory and honor. May the various activities related to this event be a success through your intervention. We all ask of this in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Before we start, let me just say the house rules for today's webinar. First, participants must keep their proper demeanor as we start the webinar proper. Make sure to turn off your mic to avoid causing disturbances such as inappropriate noises or chats that may cause a distraction to our speakers and to our viewers. Second, participants are encouraged to actively participate in our discussion. Be attentive as there will be questions asked throughout the session. And lastly, participants can raise their hands or leave a message in our chat box if you have any questions or clarifications regarding the topic. Don't forget to take a screenshot for the evaluation at the end of the webinar.
So once again, magandang tanghali sa inyong lahat. So batiin muna natin ang isa't isa with the use of our Zoom chat box. So let's type hello everyone sa ating chat box to confirm your attendance. Hello everyone. Hello, hello. Good afternoon.
Ayan, salamat sa mga nag-type sa chat box. We acknowledge the presence of our beloved audience, the students from BSED MT 31D.
So, for now, let us give a short recap regarding dun sa webinar na naganap last week. So, yung webinar ng Group 3. So, we learned that 21st century skills are considered the most important skills to succeed in today's workplace. 21st century skills include skills like critical thinking, communication, technology literacy, and more. Students will need to develop these skills in the classroom so they can have great careers in the future.
Alam naman natin na change is constant, kaya naman essential talaga malaman natin ang 21st century skills para hindi tayo mahirapan sa mga gagawin natin sa future. 21st century skills allow student to become a well-rounded, adjusted, and socialized adult human being who will ultimately contribute to a nation's society. Ang dami talaga nating nalaman at mas lalong madadagdagan ng ating knowledge in today's webinar. Yun lang naman for the short recap. Partner, balita ko may gagawin tayo ah. Teka, ano yung balak mo?
That's right, partner. So at this point, we shall have the icebreaker. So let me share my screen first. Okay, para may thrill, lagyan natin ng soundtrack. And so so is my screen visible now? Visible na ba siya? And so our icebreaker would be about word association. So applying 21st century skills. So madali lang naman siya. So in this activity, it would be a group work. So lahat ng magka-group ay magkakakampi. So from group 1, which is headed by Ivan Busto. Then sa group 2, headed by Aliyah. Then sa group 3, headed by Rio. Panis ang pogi ni Rio. Ayan. So this would be a group activity or a group game in which it requires communication and collaboration. So let me explain the rules. So game mechanics. This game will be played in groups. Teamwork is required. So the game master, which is me, will flash a category on the screen, list down everything related on the category in 2 minutes. So once the timer is up, a representative of the group will send their answers to the game master privately through Zoom chat box. So in every round, there is a prepared twist 4-point system. So the group accumulating the highest point will win the round. Then the group who wins most rounds wins the game. So ganito siya. So meron lang akong category na ipapakita through screen sharing. Then as a group, iisip kayo ng mga words or phrases na pasok doon sa category na yon. Then one representative will send it to me sa Zoom chat box privately para hindi rin makita ng ibang groups. So kung sino yung una nag-send sa akin from the group, ayun yung i-acknowledge. So you will be given 2 minutes para mag-work on dito sa activity na ito. Then pag nakita nyo sa timer na 1 minute and 50 seconds na lang, dapat na-send nyo na sa akin yung dito, yung answers nyo regarding dun sa category. Clear po ba yon? Clear po? Thumbs up po kung clear. Okay, I can see thumbs up. So, are you ready? So, first activity, first round, the category is famous mathematician. So 2 minutes starts now. pagsama-samahin niyo yung answers niyo as a group. As a group to, hindi to individual game, ha? Pagsamahin niyo sa isang message lang. So, last 1 minute. Paramihan siya, paramihan. Last 30 seconds. Three, two, one. Okay, time's up. Wait lang. Sige. Kaninong ka-group si ano? Si... Ano ba? Dami naman na ito. Si Aliyah ay group 2, tama? Tapos si Ivan group 1. Wait lang, ha. Then, dahil lang nauna ay yung kay Senon yung i-acknowledge ko instead of nung kay Rio. So, sabi ko nga, work as a group. So, kung sino yung unang nag-send sa inyo, yun yung tatanggapin. So, for the twist, ito yung twist niya. So, if you have identical answers with other groups, the point will not count. So, check natin, lagay natin yung mga answers nyo dito. So, ito yung answers nila Ivan. Sige, yung kay Lalia muna. Dahil napakarami. Laban na laban ng group to. Grabe, hindi nag-asya sa kanto. Wait lang. Grabe, ilan to? Okay, wait lang. Yung kay Lario, grabe to. Ito mas palaban to. Si Joshua, si Aaron, si Ali. Sino to mga pinaglalagay? Grabe. Mga mathematician pala kayo eh. See. Ito. Pwede pala yun, no? Wait lang, ha. Hiron, pwede bang patulong ako pakita ng ng mga pagkakaparehas nila dito? Or is it majority na sa group 2? Grabe, may definition pa dito ng Euclid, no? So, dahil unanimous, kita naman yung difference sa dami. Kahit bawas-bawasan natin, we will count the point of, count natin yung point sa group 2. Okay, so group 2 1 point. Okay, so let's proceed sa ating round 2. So, round 2, countries in Asia and Europe. Ay, wait lang. Okay, countries in Asia and Europe. So, go! Time's up. Okay, so pasend po. Kung Philippines, Cavite, Bulacan. Ba't wait lang, dami uli nito ah. Okay, so ito. Ayan, so ang twist natin, if yung group 1, same answer with group 2, yung point ay makakount. So yung if group 2, meron siyang kaparehas na answer sa group 3, yung point niya ay magka-count. So yung if group 3 ay may same answer with group 1, makakount yung point ng group 3. So tingnan natin kung sino-sino. Wait lang. So ito yung sa group 1, which is yung kila Ivan. Yeah, everyone ko na lang dito. Masyadong hindi siya kasya sa Ito yung sa group 1. Ito yung sa group 3. Ano to? Philippines, Cavite, Bulacan. Kailan pa naging... Group 3 yan. Sinadisa nun. Tapos, ito naman yung kila Aliyah. So, sa group 2. So, since walang kaparehas yung kila Aliyah sa group 3, so automatic 0 points sila. Tapos, since may Philippines, kila kila Senon, ay kila Ivan. Wait lang, meron ba? May Philippines, kila Ivan, pero wala yung Bulacan siya Cavite. So, ang point ay makakount sa group 1. So, group 1 and group 2 tie with 1 point. 1 point pala. So, 1 point. So, last round, yung round 3. So, dito na magkakaalaman kung sinong mananalo. So, this one, round 3 ay mga ulam na nabibili sa karinderya. In 2 minutes starts now. Okay, time's up. Okay, sige. So, mamaya ko ipapakita yung twist at mamaya ko na rin i-announce kung sino ang nanalo. So, ngayon, babalik muna tayo sa main program. So, sa main webinar. Okay. So, yeah.
Thank you so much para dun sa icebreaker na yon. I hope you are all ready to listen and learn something new sa mga tatalakayin natin ngayon.
Okay. So, hindi na natin patatagalin pa. So, let us introduce the speakers.
So, he took his junior high school at Ernesto Rondon High School with honors and graduated at Arellano University, Juan Sumulong campus in senior high school, also with honors. He is also a consistent president's lister, and for his curricular activities, he was an academic committee member in Soul Winners Philippines and was also part of Worldwide Math Tutor in 2022. He was a champion in the 1 versus 100 mathematics contest in Arellano University and was also a champion for the basic mathematics quiz bee in our college. Today, we will learn about globalization and multicultural literacy of the 21st century from him. Without further ado, let us all welcome our first speaker, Mr. Joshua Fajardo.
Hello. Am I audible po? Excuse me. Hello.
Yes po, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Wait lang po natin yung presentation. Ayan, excuse me po. Ayun po, magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Once again po, ako po si Joshua Fajardo and I will be discussing the first part of Unit 4 which includes the OECD Global Competence Framework, globalization, multiculturalism, and intercultural communication. So, simulan na po tayo. Next slide po. So, first of all, let's take a look at the report with the title, Teaching for Global Competence in Rapidly Changing World. So, Teaching for Global Competence in a Rapidly Changing World is a report that was published by the OECD and Asia Society. Educators and education systems worldwide are reassessing the knowledge, skills, and dispositions students need for success in today's rapidly changing and complex world. So in other words po, this report is a result of worldwide reassessment of knowledge, skills, and dispositions na kailangan ng mga students para maging successful in today's rapidly changing world. Halimbawa nitong worldwide reassessment na pinangungunahan ng educators and the education systems ay yung pag-i-incorporate ng mga more project-based learning sa curriculum, yung effective na paggamit ng technology to support learning, and yung pag-create ng more inclusive and equitable learning environment. So to publish this report, the OECD and the Center for Global Education at Asia Society have worked with academics, educators, and stakeholders in the global education field over several years to define global competence for primary and secondary education. They have extensive experience supporting educators to integrate global competence into their teaching. Next slide, please. So, ito po yung OECD Global Competence Framework and hayaan niyo pong explain ko po siya sa inyo. So, yung knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values na nakikita po natin sa outermost layer ng figure, sila po yung building blocks ng global competence according to the OECD. So, ano ba yung relationship nila sa isa't isa at paano ba sila na-utilize para maging globally competent ang lahat ng students? So yung apat na dimension ng global competence, yung mga nasa loob ng circle, they are supported by those four building blocks. Yun nga, yung knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values. Halimbawa po, sa pag-i-examine ng global issue, ang una natin kailangan of course is awareness or knowledge about that issue. Kailangan aware muna tayo na merong ganong issue. At para magkaroon ng deeper understanding sa issue na yun, kailangan natin ng skills. Specifically, critical thinking skills para yung awareness ay hindi lang basta maging awareness na lang, kundi ma-transform natin sa pagkakaroon ng malalim na pagkakaunawa about sa issue na yon. And next, we need right attitudes gaya ng pagiging open-minded and pagiging respectful. And kailangan din natin ng values to reflect on those issues. And what I mean by reflect is not self-reflection but reflections mula sa iba't ibang cultural perspectives and other worldviews. Sa ganun daw na paraan ay mas naipapakita yung pagiging globally competent ng mga learners. Okay, next slide po. So ito naman yung apat na key findings from the said publication. So number 1, investigate the world beyond their immediate environment by examining issues of local, global, and cultural significance. This means na dapat ma-encourage yung mga students na matuto about different cultures and perspectives and to think how their own lives are connected to the world around them. And second one, recognize, understand, and appreciate the perspectives and worldviews of others. This means that students should learn to be open-minded and respectful of others' cultures and perspectives. Number 3, communicate ideas with diverse audiences by engaging in open, appropriate, and effective interactions across cultures. Ibig sabihin naman ito, dapat matuto yung mga students kung paano makikipag-communicate effectively, particular sa mga tao na may different background and are practicing different cultures and traditions. And for the last one, take action for collective well-being and sustainable development, both locally and globally. This simply means that students should be encouraged to take action to make a difference in the world. So yung mga key findings na to, they are very important for students especially because they help to prepare them sa mga challenges and opportunities in a rapidly changing world. So next slide po. So yung global competence as defined by the OECD, meron din silang implications for educators and the education systems. So for educators, educating for global competence is an accessible, practical approach that is not beyond the reach of the average teacher. Ibig sabihin lang po, any teacher can be a part of promoting global competence regardless kung ano man yung area na tinuturo nila or kung gaano na sila katagal sa pagtuturo. And number 2, students gain global competence by practicing skill development in the classroom and applying their learning to real-world topics. This means na yung mga teachers ay dapat magbigay ng opportunities para ma-practice ng mga students yung kanilang mga skills and ma-apply yung natututunan nila in real-world context. The third one, teaching for global competence does not require a new curriculum. Hindi na kailangan mag-add ng bagong curriculum para magturo for global competence kasi pwede naman siya i-incorporate sa existing curriculum na meron tayo. Halimbawa, yung math teacher ay mag-provide ng mga sample word problems na may real-world context, gaya ng pagpapasolve ng math problems na connected sa global economy, for example. And the fourth one, instructional strategies for teaching global competence include structured debates, organized discussions, learning from current events, learning from play, service learning, and project-based learning. So yung mga strategies na yon na nabanggit, they can help students develop the skills they need to be globally competent. And for education system naman, so to spread global competence beyond individual teachers and their classrooms, education systems must first leverage teachers as advocates and ambassadors. Second, education system must advance whole school engagement strategies. And finally, the education must support innovative school leaders who are committed to global competence through the provision of the resources and support na kailangan nila to implement global learning initiatives sa kanilang mga schools. Ayun, so far naiintindihan naman po ba yung mga pinag-uusapan natin ngayon? So thumbs up lang po kung naiintindihan. Ayan, okay, thank you. Next slide po. Ayan po, for the next topic po, we're going to talk about the globalization and cultural and multicultural literacy. So, unang-una, pag-usapan natin yung globalization. So, globalization, according to Levin Institute in 2017, it is the process of interaction and integration between people, business entities, governments, and cultures from other nations, driven by international trade and investment and supported by information technology. So, in other words po, yung globalization, isa siyang proseso na nagpabago or nagpa-transform ng ways how we conduct business, how we communicate, and how we interact with people from diverse backgrounds. So, sa pamamagitan daw ng globalization, mas naging connected lahat ng tao. Mas bumilis yung flow ng information at yung mga products na kinukonsume natin ay mas naging available sa lahat ng part ng mundo. Next slide, please. So ayan, globalization. Because our exposure to the concept of globalization has largely been through an economic lens, it is tempting to limit globalization as something that concerns economies and businessmen. But globalization and its effects go beyond import or export and foreign direct investment. What is different now, however, is the speed at which globalization is happening, its overall scope, and its effects on the lives of ordinary people. Not only are we interacting with, learning from, and integrating knowledge gleaned from other cultures and nations at an unprecedented rate, there is now also a sense that no matter where one lives or how limited is one's face-to-face interaction with members of another nation or culture, and how limited one's time is spent online, globalization and its effects are inescapable. So, based dito, masasabi natin na yung globalization ay hindi lang isang economic phenomenon, but isa rin siyang cultural and social phenomenon na nakakaapekto maging sa mga ordinaryong mamamayan, maging sa ating mga students. That's why dapat lahat tayo ay may awareness about globalization, lalo na sa pangmalawakan nitong epekto. And sa next slide po, pag-uusapan po natin yung mga effects ng globalization. So, next slide po. So these are the effects of globalization. Number one, economic dependence, interdependence. So globalization has led to increased economic interdependence between countries. Ibig sabihin, mas nagiging reliant na yung mga countries sa isa't isa para sa goods, supplies, products, capital, investment trades, and such. Ito yung isa sa positive effects ng globalization dahil mas binuboost nito yung economy ng isang bansa. And on the other hand, nagiging negative siya to other countries dahil it can make them more vulnerable sa tinatawag nating economic shock. For example, sa Pilipinas, dahil sa globalization ay nagkakaroon tayo ng economic development, 'di ba? Nakaka-acquire tayo ng mga makabagong technology, mas dumadami yung mga job opportunities. However, meron din siyang negative effects dahil sa globalization nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na outsourcing and offshoring, kung tama po ako, kung saan may mga international companies and businesses na nag-ooperate sa Pilipinas dahil sa maliit yung pasahod dito. At alam natin na maraming Pilipino, kahit maliit yung pasahod, ay ginagrab nila yung trabaho na yun para masustain yung kanilang pang-araw-araw na pamumuhay. So, the second effect of globalization is political and military interdependence. So, may survey na kinandak noong 2019 na naitalado na 3 sa 5 Pilipino yung naniniwala na tutulong yung United States sa Pilipinas in case of war. Because of that, masasabi natin na dependent pa rin yung Pilipinas sa ibang bansa, specifically sa Estados Unidos, pagdating sa political and military power. And the third one, expanded flow of expressive and instrumental culture. So ano ba yung expressive culture and instrumental culture? So pag sinabi natin expressive culture, it refers to the expression of culture through language, music, arts, and other forms of creative expression. Yung instrumental culture naman, it refers to common models of social orders, para siyang frameworks na nag-guide ng social order within the society. So halimbawa nito yung mga mismong paraan para kung paano kino-conceptualize ng kultura yung identity ng mga tao sa lipunan. So dahil daw sa globalization, mas napalawak yung flow ng expressive and instrumental culture. At dahil doon, mas na-expose yung mga tao sa iba't ibang culture and ideas. So the fourth effect of globalization is the expanded flow of people among societies. So dahil sa globalization, mas napadali para sa mga tao na mag-travel sa iba't ibang bansa, makapagtrabaho abroad, and even makatira sa ibang bansa. So merong 3 reasons kung ba't nagpupunta yung mga Pilipino specifically sa ibang bansa. Unang-una, dahil sa socio-economic migration. Mas napo-force yung mga Pilipino na mga ibang bansa para maghanap ng better economic opportunities para sa sarili nila o sa pamilya nila. Pangalawa naman, yung tinatawag na political expulsion. May ibang tumitira sa ibang bansa dahil ayaw nila sa political climate ng Pilipinas. At pangatlo naman, nangingibang bansa yung mga Pilipino para mag-travel, para makapag-relax or para makapagsaya. So next slide po. Ayan, so done na po tayo sa globalization. Now let us talk about cultural literacy. So what is cultural literacy? Cultural literacy is a term coined by Hirsch in 1983, referring to the ability to understand the signs, symbols of a given culture and being able to participate in its activities and customs as opposed to simply being a passive and outside observer. The signs and symbols of a culture include both its formal and informal languages, its idioms and forms of expression, entertainment, values, customs, roles, traditions, and the like, most of which are assumed and unstated. So in simple words, cultural literacy means understanding and actively participating in customs, activities, and symbols of a particular culture. So kapag sinabi natin na culturally literate ang isang tao, ibig sabihin, yung taong yun ay may malalim na pagkakaunawa sa kultura na meron siya. Alam niya yung mga signs and symbols, may mastery siya sa language, at alam niya kung paano i-perform yung yung kanilang mga traditions. Next slide, please. Now, tignan natin yung kalagayan ng cultural literacy sa Pilipinas. So, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, or the NCCA, is the government body tasked with the documentation, preservation, and dissemination of Philippine culture, both locally and abroad. Part of how the NCCA is addressing this and related matters is through the establishment of the Philippine Cultural Education Program, or PCEP, which envisions a nation of culturally literate and empowered Filipinos. So, yung National Commission for Culture and the Arts, it is a government agency in the Philippines that is responsible for culture and the arts in the country. Kabilang sa layunin ng NCCA ay yung pagpe-preserve, pag-develop at pag-promote ng sining at kultura ng Pilipinas. Yung PCEP naman, layunin nitong ma-develop sa lahat ng Pilipino yung sense of awareness and understanding about sa kultura natin. So, cultural education and thus cultural literacy in the Philippines is quite a challenge given that Philippine culture is a complex blend of many indigenous and colonial cultures and varies widely across regions. And the average citizen is almost as ignorant of other Philippine cultures as foreigners are. To point out or consider the question, what makes something or someone a Filipino? So, isa raw sa challenge na kinakaharap ng bansa natin in cultural literacy is that hindi culturally literate yung maraming Pilipino dahil sa sobrang dami at magkakaiba-ibang mga kultura na meron sa Pilipinas. Kahit tayo, mapapansin naman natin na kahit saan tayo mapuntang part ng Pilipinas, may kanya-kanya talagang mga kultura. Halimbawa, sa mga probinsya o lugar na nasa norte, may ibang kultura sila at traditions na pinapractice kung ikukumpara sa mga nasa southern part ng Pilipinas. So, ito daw yung dahilan kung ba't maraming hindi culturally literate na mga Pilipino. Kaya yung tanong sa atin, what makes someone a Filipino? Paano ba natin masasabi na ang isang tao ay Pilipino? Yung tipong pag nakita mo yung isang tao, yung isang klase ng ugali, masasabi mo na, ay, Pilipino tong taong to. Kaya pag nakita mo yung isang tao na pinapractice niya yung isang bagay, masasabi natin na, ay, Pilipino tong taong to. So, yung sagot natin sa question na yun, maaaring magkakaiba-iba, pero, maaaring isagot ng iba ay yung pag ang isang tao ay hospitable, Filipino siya. So kapag may galang at respeto sa nakatatanda, masasabi ng iba na Pilipino yung taong yon. So marami tayong pwedeng isagot actually. And personally, kung sasagutin ko tong tanong na to, ang masasagot ko siguro sa tanong na what makes someone a Filipino is kapag ang isang tao ay hindi lang nakakaunawa sa kultura ng Pilipinas, kundi may pagmamahal din sa kultura ng Pilipinas. So according to De Leon in 2011, he coins this propensity for Filipinos to look at their culture and themselves through Western lenses as the Doña Victorina syndrome, a kind of inferiority complex wherein anything and everything natively Filipino is considered by the Filipinos themselves as being inferior, backward, and worthless in comparison to their Western counterparts, and therefore a source of embarrassment and unease. So sinasabi ni De Leon na may mga Pilipino na mababa yung tingin sa kultura ng Pilipinas kung ikukumpara niya sa kultura ng ibang bansa, particular sa mga kanluraning bansa. Ito nga yung tinatawag niya na Doña Victorina syndrome. So, yung Doña Victorina syndrome, ito yung term na ginagamit para i-describe yung distorted na pagtingin ng mga Pilipino sa sarili nilang pagkakakilanlan, bunga ng pagkakaroon ng mababang pagtingin sa kultura ng Pilipinas. So si Doña Victorina, alam naman natin na hango siya sa No Limitang Hiren ni Rizal at yung role niya doon ay yung pagiging Pilipino na ina-abandon yung sariling kultura para lang mag-gain yung admiration ng mga mananakop nung panahon na yon. So in the same way po, yung mga may Doña Victorina syndrome, sila yung kinakahiya yung kultura ng Pilipinas at handa nilang kalimutan yung kanilang sariling kultura kasi pakiramdam nila mas angat sila kapag yung pinapractice nilang culture ay yung katulad ng mga nasa western countries. So next slide po. So now, alamin naman natin yung mga specific challenges for cultural literacy in the Philippines. As Appleby in 1987 observed, interesting discussions on cultural literacy gave rise to some very difficult questions which are particularly important to a multicultural and multilingual nation like the Philippines. So these are the questions. Number one, what kinds of knowledge constitute cultural literacy? Is it knowing facts, names, and dates, or is it something more experiential like being familiar with a story or a particular song? Number two, if culture is more caught than taught, should cultural literacy be one of the goals of education? If yes, how does one teach it? Number three, whose cultures we be literate in must we be literate in to be considered culturally literate? Who decides which cultures are included and which ones are excluded? And on what basis? Number four, is cultural literacy and education simply a means for the dominant culture to express its dominance over minority culture? And last, how is cultural literacy to be assessed and evaluated? How can we know someone is culturally literate? So to date, no definitive answers to these questions exist in this to this literature. So to date, no definitive answers to these questions exist in the literature. So therefore po, ongoing pa rin yung discussion, research, and collaboration among educators and cultural experts, community members, and policymakers sa pagre-refine ng concept and pagde-develop ng effective strategies sa pag-foster ng cultural literacy sa Pilipinas. Kaya yung mga ganitong klase ng tanong ay wala pa talagang definitive answer. So next slide po. Yan. Ngayon, pag-usapan naman natin yung cultural literacy. So, ano ba yung multicultural literacy? So, multicultural literacy as a set of skills and knowledge is difficult to define because of how it changes depending on the context in which it is discussed. For example, multicultural literacy as defined in American literature is different from how it is deployed in a more European context. So, sinasabi dito na yung multicultural literacy is a complex concept dahil pwede siyang magkaroon ng iba't ibang definition depending on the context. Halimbawa nga, yung definition ng multicultural literacy sa American literature ay iba sa kung paano siya dinedefine in European context. Next slide po. Ayan, multicultural literacy. So, we define multicultural literacy here as the knowledge and skills necessary to ensure that any communication with a culture different from our own is clear, productive, and respectful such that their differences are celebrated and neither culture is demeaned or treated as inferior. It is important to realize that under this definition, a different culture is not just limited to someone from another country, but could also include someone whose gender, economic background, religious beliefs, sexual orientation, or even sense of fashion is different from our own. So sa madaling salita po, dinedefine natin dito yung cultural literacy bilang kaalaman, pagkakaunawa, pagtanggap at pag-appreciate ng iba't ibang kultura. Therefore, masasabi natin na yung goal ng multicultural literacy ay magkaroon ng peace sa pamamagitan ng pagtanggap at pag-unawa sa iba't ibang mga kultura. So, true multicultural literacy consists of perspectives, attitudes, and beliefs about other cultures that affect the manner in which we communicate and the motives behind our communication. So, here are some examples. Number one, being selfless. When we are selfless, we are willing to listen and learn from people with different cultures kahit na yung perspective and ideas nila ay iba sa ideas and perspective na meron tayo. So number two, know that good and useful things can and do come from those different from us. So know that good and useful things can do from those different from us. So knowing that good and useful things come from those different from us is a factor for multicultural literacy dahil nakakatulong to sa atin na maging open sa iba. And when we are open to learning from others, we are more likely to be exposed nga to new ideas and perspectives, and makakatulong yung mga yon para mag-grow tayo as individuals, and makakatulong din yun to build bridges between different cultures. So number 3, be willing to compromise. So when we are willing to compromise, we are willing to give up something that we want in order to reach a mutually agreeable solution. Importante yung ganun sa multicultural context because it allows us to build relationships with people having different backgrounds. So last naman, accept that there are limits. Isang factor din for multicultural literacy is kapag tanggap natin na hindi lahat alam natin tungkol sa iba, lalo na sa kultura nila. Nakakatulong yung ganun in a way na mas na-humble tayo, and alam natin na kapag na-humble tayo, mas nagiging willing tayo na makinig o malaman yung ideas and perspective ng iba. So, next slide po. Now, pag-usapan natin yung mga issues na naghihinder sa successful na pagtuturo at pag-aaral ng multicultural literacy sa bansa natin. So, number 1 is conflicting requirements for peace. It is easy to assume that all cultures value peace to the same degree and are therefore willing to make some compromises in order to attain it, but this is not necessarily true. Isang halimbawa nito ay yung conflict between Palestinians and Israeli, which is a conflict over territory. Pareho nilang gusto ng peace pero walang willing sa kanila na mag-compromise. So in a very real sense, para sa kanila mas okay na yung nagkakaroon ng conflict sa isa't isa kaysa i-give up yung territory nila. So sa number 2 naman is nationalistic and regionalistic pushback. So this is one of the issues in teaching and learning multicultural literacy in the Philippines because nagli-lead to a lack of understanding and appreciation for other cultures. May mga region kasi sa Pilipinas na pakiramdam nila ay naibababa yung kultura nila whenever Filipinos are making efforts sa pagpo-promote ng cultural understanding and cultural inclusivity. So number 3 naman is the persistence of the problem. Yung persistence of the problem sa teaching and learning multicultural literacy ay maituturing din na cause of concern sa ating bansa. So kasi sa kabila ng advancement ng science and technology kung saan mas nagiging aware yung lahat sa iba't ibang kultura, mapapansin natin na patuloy pa rin na nag-i-exist yung discrimination against people with different cultures. So para sa mga educators, yung ganong problema, isa sa dahilan kung ba't mas nagiging mahirap yung pagtuturo ng multicultural literacy sa Pilipinas. So number 4 is the question of value. So yung issue ng multicultural literacy ay lumilikha ng tanong sa mga Pilipino na bakit ko ba kailangan irespeto o ituring na nang may respeto yung mga taong may ibang kultura? Kung iisipin, madali lang yung sagot sa tanong na yon. Maaring yung pinakasimpleng sagot ay para magkaroon ng kapayapaan or peace, pero alam naman natin na hindi lahat ng tao, 'di ba? Specifically sa Pilipinas, hindi naman lahat ng Pilipino ay binibigyan ng value o halaga yung kapayapaan to the same degree compared sa ibang tao. So may ilang mga Pilipino na mas madali para sa kanila na gumawa na lang ng hindi maganda towards others na may ibang kultura kaysa gumawa ng effort para intindihin yung isa't isa. Therefore, isa sa issue ng pagtuturo at pag-aaral ng multicultural literacy sa Pilipinas ay yung pagkakaiba-iba natin ng pagbibigay ng halaga or value sa kapayapaan or peace na nagli-lead sa pagkakaroon natin ng unequal treatment sa ibang mga tao. So, bali meron tayong 4 issues na kinakaharap sa teaching and learning multicultural literacy sa Pilipinas. Number 1 is conflicting requirements for peace. Pangalawa, nationalistic and regionalistic pushback. Number 3, the persistence of the problem. And last ay yung question of value. Next slide po. Ayan. Now, I'll be discussing the intercultural communication. But so far po, nagets po ba yung yung last na diniscuss ko about multicultural literacy? Okay. Thank you. So, now, dako naman tayo sa intercultural communication. So first, let us define intercultural communication. So intercultural communication essentially means communication across different cultural boundaries. It can be defined as the sharing of information on different levels of awareness between people with different cultural backgrounds, or put simply, individuals influenced by different cultural groups negotiate shared meaning in interactions. So, sa madaling salita po, when two or more people with different cultural backgrounds are having interaction and communication with one another, nangyayari na po doon yung tinatawag nating intercultural communication. Halimbawa po, pag nagkakaroon ng conversation ng isang Pilipino sa isang Amerikano, masasabi natin na they are having intercultural communication, or kapag may dalawang businessmen or business professionals from different cultures na nagkakaroon sila ng negotiation, masasabi natin na they are having intercultural communication. So, ganun lang po kasimple kung paano nag-occur yung intercultural communication. Next slide, please. Ayan, pag-usapan natin yung iba't ibang intercultural communication theories. So, there are 4 theories of intercultural communication. The first one is social science approach. This model focuses on observing the behavior of a person from a different culture in order to describe it and compare it with other cultures. It also examines the ways in which individuals adjust their communication with others in different situations, depending on who they are talking to. For example, kapag may kwento tayong i-share, yung kwento na yon kapag kinuwento natin sa kaibigan natin, parang may halong biruan, bardagulan, ganun. Pero kung ikikwento mo, halimbawa sa lolo mo, kwento mo sa lolo mo yung same story na ikikwento mo dun sa kaibigan mo, iba yung way mo ng pagkikwento kasi naiintindihan mo yung pagkakaiba ng kultura ng kaibigan mo, tsaka yung kultura na meron yung lolo mo. So, pangalawang theory naman is yung interpretive approach. Interpretive approach focuses on accumulating knowledge about a culture through communication in the form of shared stories based on subjective individual experiences. So basically, this approach recognizes that culture is not a collection of objective facts, but rather a multifaceted system of meaning na ini-interpret at kino-construct ng mga tao within a cultural context. So, sa madaling salita, hina-highlight ng interpretive approach yung importance ng mga subjective experiences para mas magkaunawaan at magkaintindihan yung mga tao despite the cultural differences. Next slide po. Ayan. So, pangatlo naman is the dialectical approach. This method examines aspects of intercultural communication in the form of 6 dichotomies, namely, first, cultural versus individual, personal versus contextual, differences versus similarities, static versus dynamic, history versus past, present versus future, and privilege versus disadvantage. A dialectical approach helps us think about culture and intercultural communication in complex ways, so we can avoid categorizing everything in either or dichotomies by adopting a broader approach and acknowledging the tensions that must be negotiated. So yung dialectical approach sa intercultural communication, nakapaloob dito yung pag-e-examine ng intercultural approach through the lens of 6 dichotomies, cultural versus individual, personal versus contextual, and so on. So hindi na natin i-explore isa-isa yung mga dichotomies na to, basta these dichotomies, they serve as tools para maintindihan at manavigate yung complexities at tensions na maaaring mangyari o lumitaw in cultural interactions. So the fourth approach is the critical approach. So this approach examines cultures according to their differences compared to the researcher's own culture, and in particular, how these cultures are portrayed in the media. The critical approach is complex and multifaceted and therefore leads to a rich understanding of intercultural communication. So isa sa importanteng aspect ng critical approach is yung pagiging critical natin about how cultures are being portrayed in the media. May times na hindi ganun ka-accurate yung representation ng media sa ibang culture, at minsan sila pa yung nagpo-promote ng stereotypes toward others. So yung critical approach, ini-encourage tayo nito na questionin yung ganong portrayals and alamin natin kung totoo ba o hindi yung mga nakikita natin or napapanood about other culture. Bukod dito, pinapaalam din sa atin ang cultural approach na yung cultural interactions ay naiimpluwensyahan ng history and power. Alam natin na yung ibang culture ay parang mas may power compared sa ibang culture, at malaking factor yon ng pamamaraan nila ng pag-interact sa ibang tao mula sa ibang kultura. So overall po, yung critical approach, tinutulungan tayo nito na mag-isip ng critical, questionin yung mga stereotypes at patuloy na mag-strive for fairness and understanding tuwing nagkakaroon ng interaction with people from different culture. So, yung apat na theories po na nabanggit ko in intercultural communication ay isa lamang ang goal, and that is magkaroon ng pagkakaunawaan yung bawat isa despite having different cultures. Next slide po. Ayan, based sa mga napag-usapan na natin so far, alamin natin kung ano ba yung pagkakaiba ng multicultural, cross-cultural, and intercultural. So, multicultural refers to how a group or team is composed, in particular a group that is made up of people with different nationalities. In fact, communication in multicultural settings has become commonplace today. Cross-cultural means comparing two or more different culture. So, cross-cultural communication examines the varying communication styles of different cultural groups. And lastly, intercultural communication refers to exchanges taking place between different cultures. So, kapag sinabi nating multicultural, from the word multi, ibig sabihin marami. So, ito yung coexistence ng marami or multiple cultures within a society. Kapag sinabi naman nating intercultural, ito naman yung interaction among people from different cultures, while yung cross-cultural naman, it is simply the comparison of interactions among people from different cultures. So, ayun. I hope naiintindihan po natin lahat yung mga nababanggit ko. So, next slide po. So, ayan. Why is intercultural communication is important? So, bakit ba natin pinag-uusapan to in the first place? So, effective intercultural communication is an essential skill for anyone working across different countries or regions in order to establish harmonious relationships and avoid conflict. It is essential to accurately and appropriately transfer information across countries and cultures. So, yung intercultural communication, hindi lang siya isang concept ng hindi lang siya isang concept, kundi tinuturing na rin siya bilang isang essential skill for work. And sa education naman, napaka-importante ng intercultural communication. Unang-una, pinopromote nito yung cultural understanding. Inaalaw nito yung mga students na maunawaan at ma-appreciate yung iba't ibang cultural perspectives and practices. Isa pa, piniprepare din ito yung mga students for the workforce. Alam naman natin na sa trabaho ay makakasalamuha tayo ng iba't ibang tao with different cultural backgrounds. So kapag na-engage tayong mga students in intercultural communication, madali nating ma-develop yung mga skills na kailangan natin para sa mga trabahong may multicultural environment. Next slide po. Ayan, since alam na natin yung ibig sabihin ng intercultural communication at kung bakit ito importante, dumako naman tayo sa practical applications nito. Specifically, pag-uusapan naman natin yung social convention in intercultural communication. So, intercultural competence covers a large field ranging from linguistic aspects all the way to social and cultural conventions. It is important to be aware that each culture may have different social conventions. So, let's just refer to the table para sa example. So, in conversation, people from US prefer to have small talks, kung saan yung mga taga-UK naman ay gumagamit ng humorous talks. Sa Germany, yung approach nila sa pakikipag-usap is very direct, straight to the point sila and wala nang paligoy-ligoy, whereas yung mga taga-Thailand naman, usually nagtatanong sila ng mga personal questions, gaya ng may asawa ka na ba, or kamusta yung marital status mo, or kaya tungkol naman sa trabaho mo, or mga ganong tanong. So sa greetings naman, yung mga taga-US at taga-UK, mas sanay sila na i-address yung mga tao sa kanilang mga first name. While sa Germany, they are formal. They often shake hands, and sa Thais naman, they place their palms together at chest level and bow to show respect. So, bukod sa mga countries na nakalagay dito sa table, may ibang way rin yung ibang mga countries ng pakikipag-usap sa iba. For example, sa Japan, visible sa way nila ng pag-interact yung kanilang humility. They usually bow as a sign of respect when ginigreet nila yung ibang tao. And madalas din silang gumagamit ng mga polite gestures, gaya ng madalas nilang pagtatakip ng bibig habang nagsasalita para magpakita ng respeto at kababaang loob or humility. Oh, next slide po. So ayun, as I said earlier, intercultural communication is complex. So it is not surprising that there are challenges or barriers to this concept. And these challenges are, number one, ethnocentrism, which is the common but misguided assumption of a cultural group that it is superior to other cultural groups. So how can we overcome this challenge? This challenge to intercultural communication can be overcome by actively trying to be open-minded and accepting towards other cultures. So number two naman is assuming that other cultures are similar rather than different to your own. As a result, you might behave as you would in your own culture but end up causing offense or worse simply because you are unaware that different rules and norms apply in the other culture. So kapag ina-assume natin na walang kaibahan yung culture ng ibang tao sa atin, dinidisregard natin yung importance ng cultural relativism. So ano ba yung cultural relativism? Ito yung concept na nagre-recognize ng iba't ibang kultura ay may iba-iba ring set of values, norms, and behaviors. So bukod dito, mas nagiging narrow din yung view natin about others kapag ina-assume natin na yung culture nila ay same lang sa culture na meron tayo. Maaaring ma-misinterpret natin yung behavior ng iba at maging insensitive tayo sa kanila. So number three naman is anxiety. Finally, the most common barrier to intercultural communication is perhaps surprisingly anxiety. When you are unsure of what is expected of you or what to do, it's only natural to feel anxious. Your focus is then likely to shift to your feeling of anxiousness and away from the intercultural transaction taking place. As a result, you may make more mistakes than you would have otherwise and seem to be behaving awkwardly to others. So normal lang daw na nagiging anxious tayo especially sa mga pagkakataon na di natin alam kung paano tayo makikitungo sa iba. For example, may kaharap kang ibang tao from different cultures at hindi mo alam kung ano yung gagawin mo or sasabihin mo. Sa ganong situation, normal lang daw na maging anxious ka. But yung anxiety na yon nagiging hadlang siya for you to fully engage in the conversation. Kaya instead na mag-focus sa mismong conversation ninyo, mas nada-divert yung attention or focus mo sa anxiety na na-experience mo. And dahil doon, mas malaki yung chance na magkamali ka or makapagpakita ka ng awkward behavior. So paano ba natin ma-overcome yung mga challenges na to? So para ma-overcome natin sila, ang kailangan lang natin unang-una is to develop our cultural awareness. Aralin natin yung ibang mga kultura. And secondly, let us avoid making assumptions na yung mga ibang kultura ay pareho lang ng kultura na meron tayo. And thirdly, i-practice natin na i-manage yung ating anxiety. And finally, pinaka-importante sa lahat, maging open-minded tayo and respectful sa iba. So next slide po. So ayan, that would be the end of my presentation po. I hope kahit papaano may mga natutunan po tayo dito sa first part ng ating webinar na magagamit natin as future educators, specifically sa pagtulong sa mga magiging students natin kung paano maging globally competent, culturally and multiculturally literate. So maraming salamat po sa lahat. Makinig din po tayo sa ating mga susunod na speakers. Thank you so much po.
Ayan. So thank you so much, Sir Joshua, for that informative talk that you shared. So ang dami nating pwedeng mapulot doon sa talk na ginawa ni Sir Joshua. So we learned that mayroong maraming pwedeng ma-acquire na skills using the global competences. Either ikaw man ay teacher o estudyante. Tapos, natutunan rin natin yung mga tips or yung ways kung paano mag-a-adjust sa iba't ibang culture for our own personal growth. Ikaw naman, partner, anong takes mo with regards to Sir Joshua's talk?
Maraming ang nabanggit na insightful ideas si Sir Joshua sa kanyang talk. We learned that the effects of globalization can be hard on the lives of ordinary people, but sadly, it's inescapable. Nalaman din natin ang mga challenges for cultural literacy in our country, and there are still no definitive answers for the questions that exist in the literature. Thank you so much, Sir Joshua. If you have insights or takeaways regarding the talks of our speaker, feel free to utilize our Zoom chat box. We are more than happy to read what you've learned from today from our resource speakers.
So with that, we shall take a 5-minute break before we proceed with the other resource speakers. Stay tuned and we'll be right back.
$948,446,6340円。ごめんさん、あった人、K です。
日本に伝わったのは16世紀の中盤ぐらいでして、江戸時代初期に寺子屋が全国に普及し始めまして、寺子屋で指導されてたのが読み書きそろばんということで、全国に広まったとされております。そろばん教育は昭和になりましてから私塾が台頭してきました。第二次世界大戦後の日本の驚異的な復興にはそろばん教育が大きく寄与していると言われています。
学校教育の中では今3年生と4年生の教科書の中に入っているんですけども、ほんの数時間するだけですので、そろばん塾で腕を磨くっていうのが普通です。
計算機の普及によってもうそろばんは20世紀の遺物になるんじゃないかと。そろばん学習の効果は物事を早く正しく処理することです。20世紀のそろばんは計算器具ですけども、今そろばんは能力開発器具と言えるでしょう。
こんにちは。
そろばんを始めたのは幼稚園年長の終わり頃です。初めて変わったところは、学校の算数とかでなんかちょっと計算が早くなったり集中力がついたところです。
暗算は6桁 ×6 桁を11秒くらいで解けます。そろばんだと7桁 ×6 桁の問題をできます。
最近は、フラッシュ暗算といいまして、モニターに数字が点滅するわけですね。その数字を足していくと、そんな競技も最近はあります。
そろばん学習の効果は、右脳が発達すると言われています。電卓はあくまでも機械がします。そろばんは頭で考え指を動かし、人間がします。
1721億5703万9489円で627万3245円です。
その過程において、集中力、忍耐力、情報処理能力とかいろいろなものが、身についてきますから。
11兆3450億7794万4150。
はい、5名さん。
計算力以外の影響力についてはやはり集中力です。娘を見ていてても明日小テストなのって言ってても本当にいつしたのっていうぐらいの短時間の間で暗記ができるっていうことはやはり集中力の賜物かなっていうふうに思います。
手は体の外に出た脳であるっていうふうに言われています。手指を動かすことは脳を活性化するっていう、実際にそうだなというふうに感じています。 でそろばんの究極の目標はそろばんを使わずに頭の中にそろばんが入って、暗算で計算できるようにすることです。
暗算をしている時は頭の中が真っ暗になってそこに本当に玉だけが単体で1個だけとかそういう感じです。
というようにその記号を反偽証物ですね、暗算の場合は置き換えて、計算するということで、筆算ではできない超高速暗算ができると、それをそろばん式暗算というんですね。1.5秒。はい。大人がそろばんを始めると他の計算方法にあまりにも慣れすぎているためにそろばんで一から計算をするというのがすごく煩わしく感じるんじゃないかと思います。そろばんで得た技術というのは銀と上級まで頑張った方は多少技術が落ちるぐらいで一生続きます。
And once again, we are back. Gising pa ba ang lahat? Let's shake both our hands at ayan, hindi na natin papatagalin pa. Let us meet our next speaker.
So, hindi na tayo bago sa kanya since she is from our block, BSED MT 31D. So, she took her junior high school at Pulonggubat High School and graduated at Baliwag University in senior high school, in which she graduated with honors. So, ang pagiging academic achiever niya ay evident since siya ay consistent president's lister. Apart from being active in her studies, she is also active in extracurricular activities. She served our program organization, the Matrix, magmula pa nung first year. So, to give us nourishing knowledge regarding social literacies of the 21st century, let us give a virtual round of applause for our second speaker, Ms. Micah. Ms. Micah, the floor is yours.
Ayan. Am I audible? Ayan, mukhang naririnig naman ako. Thumbs up nga tayo guys if naririnig naman ako ng maayos. Ayan. Thank you, MCs, for such a wonderful introduction and good afternoon to everyone, especially sa ating professor na si Dr. Rosie Corpus. Though wala siya sa ating mga pili ngayon, alam ko na proud siya sa atin. And it's good to be back in our webinar series and it's such a great honor to be your second presenter for today and second to the last speaker for this cycle. So yes, let's talk about naman social literacy. Well, the title speaks for itself naman, but in this discussion, let's dive into that a little bit more. Shall we? So, paano ba natin siya magandang simulan? It's good if gagawa muna tayo ng game, di ba? So, let's do a game, okay? Or let's play a game pala, rather. So, yan, next slide po. Let's do a put a finger down socially awkward edition. So, if your camera works just fine, kindly open po ang ating mga camera para makita ko naman yung inyong nagagandahan at nagagwapuhang mukha. Ayan, open cam tayo. Please, open cam. Pero kung hindi naman natin kaya, alam ko naman na nasa I'm with you with you're with us in spirit. So, ayan, put a finger down tayo. Ayan. Put a finger down, number 1. Put a finger down if you accidentally open your mic in an online meeting. Put a finger down, guys. Okay. Next, put a finger down if you interrupt mid-conversation and everyone went silent. Oh my gosh. Nagawa ko na yan. Medyo awkward. Okay. Put a finger down when you tell a joke but no one laugh. Oh, grabe yan. And put the finger down if you spent hours reading people arguing in the comment section on a social media. Ay, grabe be. Maganda yan, chismis yan eh. I love chismis. Oh, di ba? Okay, next. Put the finger down. If you laugh in a super awkward situations, like when someone trip or bump their head, minsan, pag kami nakita akong kalbo lang din, natatawa na ako. Super awkward. Okay, next. Put the finger down. If you mistakenly address a customer as a seller at a mall, oh my gosh. Sino na yung naka-experience niyan? Put a finger down, guys. Next. Put a finger down if you farted in a public transportation. Ay, yes po. May nagre-raise po ng hands. Sige po, open po tayong mic. Ay, okay. Ay, okay. Sorry po, sorry. Okay, continue na tayo sa ating put a finger down. Put a finger down if you always pose in front of a CCTV. Masaya yan, be. Parang, camera. Camera naman talaga siya. Put a finger down kung nagawa nyo na yan. Okay, next. Put a finger down. If someone asks you but you didn't hear their question, so you ask them to repeat it, but you still don't understand. Ganun ka lang. Oo. Next, put a finger down. If you fake a call to escape an awkward situation. Ay, nandun ka na ba? Oh, nakita mo yung crush mo, be. Oh, nag-fake call ka para maka-escape. Oh. Okay, next. Put a finger down. If you help someone with direction when you actually don't know the address either. Oh. Put a finger down. Ibalik niyo yung finger pagkaubos na. Charot. Next, put a finger down. When you say goodbye to a friend and you both started walking in the same direction. Uy, taga dito ka lang din pala, be. Ganun, no? Next. Ayan. So, if you put 5 or more fingers down, oh gosh, it must be awkward. So, ayan. So, pero all kidding aside, somehow, those situations earlier, kahit pa paano naman siguro mga 10 or, yan o, sabi isa na lang daw yung natira sa kanila, na-experience na natin siya, right? And it's totally fine, guys, kasi we can say that it's part of interacting or part with being with other people. And minsan, making mistakes din is part of socializing din. And being in an awkward situation is okay lang din. So, ayan. Ano ba yung relationship nung nilaro natin in our topic? So, yan. Let's define what social literacy is nga ba. Sorry, nanginginig yung boses ko. Pero yan. What is social literacy? So, himay-himayin muna natin siya word for word. So, the social means it refers to anything related to society or interactions among individuals within a community or group. Pwedeng sa fam siya. So, yun yung basic form ng society, which is the family. Sa room, sa classroom natin, it is part of being in a society or community. So, organization, may matrix, may best, and yung mga nasalihan nating orgs, meron ding sensya, ganyan. Or sa PUPN's community, yung meron pang PUP secret files, ganun, or yung mga freshmen, group sa Facebook, and pwede rin sa neighborhood. Yan, part yan ng community, yan yung social. And next naman is the word literacy. It means, or based din sa past webinars natin, literacy means competence or knowledge in a specified area. So with that, combining those two terms, social literacy is, next slide po. Social literacy concerns itself with the development of social skills, knowledge, and positive human values that enable human beings to act positively and responsibly in a range of complex social setting. So, it talks about our competence or knowledge as individuals, kung paano ba tayo makisalamuha rather, or how proper is our proper way of socializing, di ba? And it is also known as, for us to understand more what social literacy is, ito yung, it also known as social understanding, social awareness, and social competence. So, yan yung mga synonyms niya in a sense. Yan. So another meaning of social literacy is that it is the knowledge of how to behave and treat other people in a way that is morally upright, just, and equitable. So with the view of promoting positive and productive relations that are free from unfair prejudice, hate, and discrimination. So again, ito yung kaalaman natin kung paano ba mag-act and behave in a certain way or in a certain situation which is dapat upright, just, and equitable. So next slide please. Ayan. So, 3 description natin is upright, just, and equitable. So, it is actually important for us to know, hindi lamang sa webinar na to, pero we must keep it in mind kapag ka nakikipag-socialize tayo. So, ano nga bang meaning ng upright, just, and equitable? So, next slide po. So, upright, it is the thoughts, speech, actions, and motivations that adhere to a standard of right and wrong. Meaning, social literacy means it is upright, or morally right, with honesty, with integrity, ethical conduct, and adherence to moral principles. Kung ano nga ba yung tama at mali. So when we say naman social literacy is just, meaning it's justice na literal, speech, actions, and behaviors that are in line with the fixed standard of justice or based siya in our system in the country. Syempre, we interact without breaking any rules din. Hindi naman, ay magandang araw po, sasaksakin ko po. Charot. Hindi naman ganon, di ba? So, social literacy is dapat naka-adhere siya sa ating justice system. And lastly, equitable. As we know, equitable is somewhat interchange minsan sa ayan po, good afternoon po, Dr. Rosie. Welcome po sa ating webinar. Anyways, continuing po tayo sa ating discussion about social literacy. Ang equitable po, again, is somewhat interchange minsan sa word na equal, but it is actually different. When we say equality, it connotes a fixed standard of treatment for all people, while equity seeks good in others. Sabi nga dito, speech, actions, behaviors, and decisions that treat other people fairly, regardless of background or circumstances. Rather than sasabihin na everyone gets the same thing in the same amount, just like what equality defines, equity seeks good in others, or the labor to find means by which everyone gets what they need. So ayan, now that we are done discussing what social literacy means, let's move on sa social skills naman, development of a child. So yes po, well, social literacy is nurtured or natututunan. Children adapts what they see or hear to their surrounding. That is why peers and schools play a formative role on their development. So these social skills is often expressed as consisting of 3 interrelated components, and that is social perception, social cognition, and social performance. So ano nga ba yung tatlo na yan? So next slide please. When we say social perception, it is the ability to make accurate interpretation and inferences about other people from their general physical appearance, verbal, and nonverbal patterns of communication. Hindi po siya stereotyping ha. When we say social perception, ito yung pag-interpret natin sa information na nakukuha natin from our environment or from our society. Kumbaga, we observe what other people do. We understand or perceive how the way they act, their behaviors, their emotions, or their traits. Kung, ayun nga, kung yung body language niya, minsan nare-read natin yon and nabubuo yung impressions natin sa ibang tao. Di ba nga may sinasabi tayo na first impressions last. Oh, yun. Meron tayong impressions kung ano yung ginagawa. Yun yung pagpe-perceive or pagpe-perceive natin. Next naman po is social cognition. Next slide po. Ayan. When we say social cognition, ito naman po yung part where we understand what we observe sa social perception. When we say social cognition, it is the different psychological process that influence how people process or interpret and responds to social signals. So yun nga, when we say social cognition, halimbawa, nakita mo yung best friend mo, umiiyak, may kasigawan sa cellphone, be, sasabi niya, may pa-Jenny ka pa dyan, manloloko ka. Mga ganon, be. Oh, in social cognition, we understand that she is angry. Kasi may sinisigawan siya sa phone. Kasi niloko siya based on your observation and you understand. Napaprocess mo. So that is social cognition. Okay, nagets naman po ba? Thumbs up nga po tayo kung nagets natin yung social perception and social cognition. Ayan. So next naman po is social performance. So what is social performance nga ba? Social performance defined as the effective translation of an institution's mission into practice in line with accepted social values. So when we say naman po na social performance naman, this is where we engage in conversations na. Ito yung actions or behaviors ng isang tao during social interactions. Kung ano yung ginagawa nila habang may kausap, do they maintain their eye contact, or are their intentions is to listen and to give empathy, ganon. Halimbawa nga, yung halimbawa natin, nag-engage na kayo sa conversation ni Jenny, o ganyan, tapos bigla mo na sabi, kung ako hindi kita gaganyanin. Swifty ako, tall, dark, and handsome. Ako na lang kasi, hindi po, joke lang. Pero kidding aside nga, this is a social performance. Kung ano yung actions mo in a conversation, what you do in the situation like that, where do you need social cues, when do you read social cues real time? And you act maybe based on it. And syempre, naka-adhere dapat siya sa social values natin, which is yung 3 description, which is the upright, just, and equitable. So, in social performance, there is a need for emphasis as we need social skills for that. So, social skills po is ito yung ability natin to interact in a given context or ways that is socially acceptable. Yun nga, yung upright, just, and equitable. Ayan. So now, let's talk about naman examples. Next slide po tayo. Ayan. So now, let's talk about examples that represent some fundamental principles of relating well to others. So, children with social skill deficits, yung mga mahirap makipag-socialize, ganon, can be taught with these skills directly by parents, teachers, and or professionals using strategies like modeling, role-playing, rehearsals, and practice. So ano ba yung mga examples na yon? Next slide, please. Number 1 dyan is syempre, greetings. Children develop relationship with peers by interacting with them. The first step in social interaction is greeting someone. When greeting others is not done only with, hi, hello, kamusta, kumain ka na ba? Kumain ka na, magaga. Charot. Pero ayun, with facial expression then, tone of voice and gestures is important then, like nod and wave. So, non-verbal part of greeting someone is just as important as word. So, it is not so much what, next slide po tayo. Ayan. Sabi dito, it is not so much what one says, but how he or she says it lets people know that he or she is glad to see them. So body language is important. Ang ating facial expression is important when you greet someone. Okay, next naman po. Initiating conversation. So in order to carry on a conversation, a child must be able to initiate, maintain, and close the conversation properly. Naaalala ko tuloy yung mga meme na maganda daw ang buhay natin kapag we initiate conversation or we engage in a conversation katulad sa pag-engage natin ng conversation sa emails. Kasi, good day. O, di ba? Meron tayong magandang kung paano makipag-usap. Ganun. Pero anyways, in order, ayun nga, this requires good listening and attention skills as well as the ability to take turns and probe for missing information or the context clues. Pero pag-uusapan pa natin yan maya-maya lamang. So, being a good conversationalist requires turn-taking and reciprocity. It is not a conversation if hindi mo hinahayaan or pinuputol mo yung sinasabi ng kausap mo. So, hindi lamang ito in relation sa in-person or face-to-face conversations, but manners in initiating conversation is also a must in virtual conversations like chats, social media platforms, or even sa Zoom meetings or sa classes. That is why during this our webinar, meron tayong mga class rules kung paano tayo mag-open ng paano tayo mag-open ng mic, mag-open ng cam, ganon. So, sa ibang virtual classes din, di ba natin, meron tayong nag-raise muna ng hand bago sumagot kay teacher, or magre-raise muna tayo ng hand bago tayo mag-ask ng question, and everything like that. Next naman po, next slide po tayo. Ayan, children have to listen as well as talk. So if they do not show an interest in what the other people has to say, they probably will not be interested in talking. So as teachers, we must be a model to our students, lalong-lalo na at hindi natin maiiwasan na in the future na merong mga impulsive children in which they have trouble knowing when to talk and when to listen. So, next naman po tayo na examples ay understanding the listener. So, once a conversation is initiated, it has to be maintained. So, in order to do that, it is important to understand the audience one is talking to. So, socially adept or literate child quickly or unconsciously identifies and categorizes his listeners, measures what he or she has planned to say against the anticipated response of the listener, and then alters or avoids what he or she has planned to say. So, etong socially adept child, alam niya kung paano makipag-talk sa authority and alam niya na hindi yun done the same way when talking to peers. Somewhat when a child is talking to his or her peers, it appears to be more cheerful and playful in a sense. Kasi syempre, merong boundary na nandun. And talking to an authoritarian can be a little bit more formal kasi, ayun nga, magkaiba. Alam ng socially adept or literate child yon. So, next naman po tayong slide. Ayan, a misread of the listener often leads to a misunderstood message and potential social rejection. Sabi nga, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, as we should listen twice before opening our mouth. And we understand what they say before we respond appropriately. Yun nga, sabi ko kanina, upright, just, and equitable. Next naman po is, na example is empathizing. So, empathy is more than perspective taking. It means the one is able to feel what other person feels. Empathy allows, next po tayo. Ayan. Empathy allows one to really connect with other people. Hindi naman ibig sabihin ng empathizing is pagkagalit yung kausap mo, galit ka na rin. Hindi po ganun ha. It is more like you understand what they feel and you consider what they feel before speaking. You validate them. Yun po. Next naman po, yung sinasabi kong context clues. Next pong slide tayo is reading social cues. So it is very important to read social cues in a conversation. So cues po are the hints or signals that guide us to the next thing to say or do. So social cues can be verbal and non-verbal. So meron yan, may mga examples tayo ng non-verbal is yung mga hand gestures, facial expression, or for example, alam mo yung mga mas malakas daw ang mga social cues ng mga magkakaibigan kasi halimbawa yung friend mo no kinichika niya sa yung crush niya tapos biglang dumating o titignan kanya ng malaki niyan para huminto kang magsalita ganon pero and you actually read it so you read social cues and it is important. Ayun. So, next po tayo, reading social cues. So, good detectives, tandaan po natin, good detectives pay very close attention to non-verbal cues. Kasi nga, yun yung mas nasa loob, parang reading between the lines. So, next naman po tayo. It is kind of, what do you call this? Self-explanatory. Previewing or planning. So, conversation also requires that one preview or thinks about what effects the word or action may have on the listener before she says them or does them. So, if the impact will be negative, one can adjust or might do or what might say or do. So, ayun po. Next naman po is problem solving. So, problems and conflicts are often a part of social interaction. Someone may not agree, get angry, or get insulted, or become aggressive at something that one says. And how one reacts to these conflicts depend on how good her problem-solving skills are. And conflicts cannot be avoided and are often necessarily to clear the air, ganun. And turning a conflict into a win-to-lose situation is a win-win situation. Situation is the best way to resolve conflict. So, this requires negotiation and compromise give-and-take relationship na magre-result sa all parties can live with and help maintain their friendship. So, next naman po, after yun, magkakasunod to, problem-solving skills. Then next is apologizing. Why it is important in social interactions. Everyone makes social mistakes, sabi ko nga kanina, at one time or another. And it is okay to make mistakes, but always remember that a good person with social skills is confident enough to make a sincere apology for his or her error. And this is a courageous act and the quickest and easiest way to correct a social blunder. So in reality, other people usually have a higher opinion of someone who apologizes for making a mistake. Next slide po tayo. Ay, next slide po. Apologizing, yan nga, is a sign of humble and mature character where one commits mistakes. So, ayan po. Apologizing is a good character for being social skills. So, yeah, I apologize po to you guys. Bukod sa marami na akong nagawang mali dati or hanggang ngayon. But, I apologize din also that it may take time. It may take time for us kasi we are just done with the first half of our presentation. Yan. So, let's move quickly na. So, next po is, ayan, the role of parents and teachers in teaching social skills to children. Okay, so sa parents muna tayo. So, parents typically play a major role in teaching children social skills or child social development. So, parent can directly teach social skills by modeling. The way the parent or the carer interacts socially is a model for the child to learn from. So, when you are modeling or exhibiting certain behaviors, your child is learning from you. Okay? Naaalala ko tuloy yung sabi ng daycare teacher namin dati na child imitate what their parent or the environment do as it is their role model. So, role-playing din pala and providing opportunities is also one way for their child to be successful in using a new skill. So, parents and carers can aid in a child's social skills development by number one, providing opportunities for the child to succeed in gaining social skills. So, ano nga ba yun? Halimbawa po nito is nakikipaglaro ka sa kanila ng board games or table games such as snake and ladders, chess, uno cards, halimbawa, ganon, or many more. Pwede ring gemdas. Ay, joke lang po. Ano po yan? Dine-develop po ng research group ko. Ayun, shout out ko lang. Ayan pa. But anyways, it gives children the opportunity to model and encourage sharing, listening, taking turns, good sportsmanship, and even negotiation. So, giving the child an opportunity to have a bond with you and get closer to you is giving also them an opportunity to succeed in gaining social skills. So, yan. Next naman po is providing instruction to children clearly and directly. So, for example, excuse me lang po. So, ayan. Ayun nga po. For example, ng clearly and direct, sabihin, it is polite to say please when you ask for something. Or when we play a game, we'll say, well done to the winner and we shake their hand. So, ayan. Next naman is being prepared to repeat instructions over and over. So, for a child has a simpler understanding and short attention span, alam natin na they may forget instructions very quickly. And talagang ang mga bata is naturally curious or matanong. So, patience is really a virtue and we must be prepared for that. So, next slide po tayo. Ayan. So, help children think of their own solution rather than telling them how to solve a problem. So, in this one, imbis na we provide them agad with a solution, we give them time to think of what is the best solution for them. And you are just there to guide them. Ganun. Halimbawa niyan, your child o yung pamangkin mo nakabasag ng vase. Tapos, imbis na pagalitan or bigyan mo kaagad ng solution na, linisin mo yan, kunin mo yung panlinis doon, ganun. You ask them, nakabasag ka. And if hindi natin siya agad malilinis, baka magkasugat ka. Or yung ibang tao, gusto ba natin yun? So, ano dapat natin gawin? And so on. Bukod sa we give them the accountability for their actions, we give them, we let them think pala. We let them think for their own solution. And that is important in development of their social skills. Kasi nga sabi kanina, problem solving is a social skill. Okay, next naman is providing feedback. So, children need help to learn a certain behaviors have certain results. So, we have to understand that children still don't know how to name or navigate what they feel. So, it is helpful for our child to think about how different behaviors might produce a different result. For example, when you yelled, what happened? If you didn't yell, what do you think might have happened? So, can you do it differently? Ganon. And syempre, it is true for some behaviors. Sabi, when you share toy, what did you notice? Ganon. Or getting children to do the thinking themselves, help them to learn to develop problem-solving skills nga katulad ng sabi ko, and it encouraged the sense of confidence for them. Ayan. Next naman is talking with children in a ways that help them see that their behaviors is separate to them as people. Children sometimes struggle to see themselves as separate to their behavior. So, will often view themselves as the bad people if they do something that we don't like. So, syempre, yung simpleng pagsabi na, this hitting is a lot of trouble, imbis na, you're a lot of trouble, hinihiwalay natin siya doon sa ginawa niyang kasalanan. Okay? So, ayan. So, during conflicts naman, sometimes, or mostly sa mga bata, and you, talagang mag-aaway kayo minsan, ganyan. Kung pamangkin mo yan, naagawan mo ng, charot lang po, ng candy. Ako lang yata yung ganun sa pamangkin. Anyway, or in the future, magkakaanak, or tayo bilang educator, tayo ng mga bata, makakapagturo. So, during conflicts, hindi maiiwasan na, yun nga, na magkaroon kayo ng hindi pagkakaintindihan. And ano ba yung mga good ways to encourage your children if that happens? So, number 1 is help children to come with a win-win solution. So, a win-win philosophy leads to assertive communication and problem solving in which naglilid siya sa benefit nyong dalawa. Second is encourage compromise and negotiation. Next is encourage everyone to be willing to fix the problem. Next naman is encourage everyone to say what the problem is for them. Next naman po is during conflict, attack the problem, not the person. Yun nga, hinihiwalay natin yung kasalanan ng bata sa kasalanan. Next naman po is look for answers so everyone gets what they need. And lastly, be aware of how you interact with others as your child is learning for you. Ikaw nga yung models niya. Yun. Next naman po, that is for parents. Next naman po is for the professionals naman or the teachers. And ayan, next, ayan po, implement structured, guided, and effective programs that often involve group work with peers. So professionals typically intervene only when the child is having or are having substantial or social difficulty with peers. And children must then generalize the skills they learn in the group to school and personal social situation. So the teacher should also take advantage of the every opportunity to help students improve their social skills, such as being alert to teasing and bullying, working cooperatively with parents, pairing socially inept children with socially adept ones, and creating an environment where diversity is accepted and celebrated. So, ayan. Next naman po tayo. Issues in teaching social literacy. So, next po. In acquisition of social literacy is a complex process that is historically and culturally conditioned and context-specific. Children learn through social practices, both explicit and deficit, and become more human through social interactions. However, children, yun nga yung sabi dito, it is also the case that children engage in a social activity before they are taught it. Meaning they are disposed to be social before they learn what sociability is all about. Okay po? Ayan. So, what are the cons po ba ng mga gano'n? So, prone po tayo sa mistakes, and that should be okay as long as we learn from that. And so, yan. Next naman po, there are 2 distinct ways po in answering the question of how children learn to live socially with each other and with adults. So, the first view is normative and communal. The first view is, ayan nga po, and from their culture, children learn customs that provide them with a guide to act in a ways that minimizes conflict. Sabi nga, it takes a village to raise a child. Thus, the culture and environment has a huge impact in children. Next naman is pragmatic and individualistic. So, the social order of children is created by explicit and implicit agreements agreed into by self-seeking individuals to avert the worst consequences of their selfish instincts, according to Arthur Davidson and Stowe 2000. So in this last view, social order is dependent on sanctions and formal agreements. Rules are obeyed because they are confer personal advantage on the child. So next slide naman po is subjective standards of morality. So bakit ba naging subjective yung standards of morality? So sabi, postmodern philosophies have caused truth and morality to be subjective and open to individual interpretation. So this is seen in the current culture where actions and behaviors that are once considered bad have become acceptable. So this gives us a license to change and opens the gates for abuse, which pulls the rug out from under any attempt at true justice and equitability. So those who insist that those who insist on subjective moral standards will be the first to demand for a fixed moral standards when they themselves fall into victim to it. Next naman po is human nature. So the inherent goodness of humanity is at best unreliable. So we are quick to champion the cause of moral uprightness, justice, and equity, but we balk when our words and actions come under scrutiny. Ano ibig sabihin nun? So we demand justice when we perceive ourselves to be the victims of wrongdoing, but we surround ourselves with excuses when we do wrong. According to Blake of 2017, she offers helpful reminders to young professionals in terms of social skills in the modern age, which underscores the importance of educating students in what could be called social literacy to ensure their academic and career successes. Next naman po is situational awareness in the workplace. So let's move on to this 3 and our last. So situational awareness in the workplace. So job interviews typically require more formal dresses and behaviors to demonstrate respect. So stories of young adults showing that interviews in casual clothing, texting, using their phone, or even bringing their parents with them demonstrate lack of situational awareness or yung hindi natin pagkakaalam kung paano nga pa, sabi nga, dress in the occasion. Ganun. So students need to be taught that what is socially acceptable in terms of dress behaviors for them to stand out above their colleagues. So sa workplace to po, and an ability to read social situation illustrates strength to employers as quickly picking up the client's mood or expectation. It can be different. There can be a difference between success and failures. Next naman po is social intelligence in technological communication. So test speak and technology use have affected young people's ability to communicate, but students still need to ensure that they're writing the notes respect and provide context for professors or future employers. So through studying communication genres and what they demand, students can learn from more about what individual situation demand in terms of morality of communication. So for example, if a professor signs an email with Dr. Kao, kaya mo yan, Dr. Kao, this is a good indication that he expect to be addressed as such. Next naman is social intelligence in traditional communication. So email has taken over as a primary method of communication, lalo na sa workplace. But traditional modes of discourse still exist. So employers still expect cover letters and thank you notes, and an ability to craft this document illustrates an understanding of social expectation. So learning to properly write cover letter, business letter, and thank you cards teaches students that this document exists and are often necessary, as well as how to craft them and saving them time and energy in the future. So ayan po, yan po ang ating presentation about social literacy. And that ends po our presentation. So I'd like to add a little bit of reminder that yun nga, sabi dito, humans are social beings and we are happier and better when we are connected to others. Just reminder that when socializing, you must be upright, just, and equitable when you're socializing. And that's a wrap, guys, sa ating social literacy. Thank you guys for listening. I hope na may natutunan kayo kahit papaano sa ating talk about social literacy. Bye-bye!
Thank you so much, Miss Micah, sa isang napakasiksik, liglig at nag-uumapaw na talk na handog mo. Nalaman natin that social literacy is the knowledge on how to behave and treat other people in a way that is morally upright, just, and equitable. Dagdag mo pa ang sinabi niya tungkol sa social perception, social cognition, at social performance.
That's right, partner. We were enlightened by Miss Micah's talk. Ang favorite part ko sa kanyang mga nasabi ay ang mga ways on how not to be socially awkward with others. Since relate talaga ako sa mga situations kanina sa put a finger down, makakatulong yung mga nasabi ng ating speaker para maiwasan ang pagiging awkward. So, at this moment, we acknowledge the presence of our building and enhancing new literacies across the curriculum, Dr. Rosalie Corpus, as she is now she's now here with us today. And ayan. So again, we invite you to share your takeaways regarding the talk. So use the Zoom chat box to share your takeaways. And if you have questions, we are more than happy to answer it together with our resource speakers and maybe our professor.
So we are going to continue this exciting learning right after this short break.
Without you, and I can't eat enough without you. If you don't speak, does that mean we're through? Don't like sneaky shit that you do.
Smoke that load that look that choke tapos nagyelo malamang dope nag-coke na broke kasi hindi ka nag-bake. Pull up, pew, spin back. Pull up, pew, spin back. Let's go. We going on vacation, so where you wanna go? Me? Obsessed with you? Yes.
Me? Obsessed with you? Yes. Yes, I am.
Cause I'm all about him, and he's all about me. And we don't give a dang about nobody. 꽃향기만 남기고 갔단다.
향기만 남기고 갔단다. I hope that's romantic all my life, surrounded by couples all the time. I guess I should take it as a sign. I'm feeling lonely. Oh, I wish I find a lover that could help me. Now I'm crying in my room, so skeptical of, but still I want it more, more, more. I give a second chance to Cupid, but now I'm left here feeling stupid. Oh, the way he makes me feel that love isn't real. Cupid is so dumb. I look for his arrows every day. I guess he got lost or flew away. Waiting around is no waste, and counting the days is November. His loving is good as they say. Now I'm so lonely. Oh, I wish I find a lover that could help me. Now I'm crying in my room, so skeptical of, but still I want it more, more, more. I give a second chance to Cupid, but now I'm left here feeling stupid. Oh, the way he makes me feel that love isn't real. Cupid is so dumb. Hopeless girl is seeking someone who will share this feeling. I'm a fool for love, a fool for love. I give a second chance to Cupid, but now I'm left here feeling stupid. Oh, the way he makes me feel that love isn't real. Cupid is so dumb. I give a second chance to Cupid, but now I'm left here feeling stupid. Oh, the way he makes me feel that love isn't real. Cupid is so dumb.
Ayan. So, welcome back. Handa na ba kayo sa ating next speaker? If all of you are ready, can I get a heart react? Heart react po. Ayan, I can see a lot of heart reacts already. So, I think partner, ready na sila para sa ating next speaker.
Ayan, mukhang handa na nga ang lahat. Huwag na natin patagalin pa. She finished her secondary level at Pasig City Science High School in junior high school with honors and graduated senior high school in Jose Rizal University also with honors. She has also participated in a lot of competitions during her junior high school time, winning various competitions in journalism, quiz bees in math and science. Evident ang kanyang husay, talino at sipag dahil mapasa hanggang ngayong college, ipinapakita niya pa rin ito by being a president's lister sa mga nagdaang semester. Join us in welcoming Ms. Shayne Nicole Paras, who is here to share her knowledge about media literacy and cyber or digital literacies of the 21st century. Ms. Shayne, take it away.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Naririnig mo ako? Grabe nakakaba pala ulit ng salita. Ayan. So, ay wait lang. Ito na ba yung PowerPoint? So, bago tayo magsimula, magpapalaro muna ako. Yung topic pala natin para sa last topic ng group namin for today guys is about media literacy. And kaya nga nang sinabi ko, bago tayo magsimula, maglalaro muna tayo ng bagong-bagong Bring Me na game. Pero since media yung pinaka-topic namin, gawin natin siyang picture or video edition. So, magbibigay lang ako guys ng mga, for example, bring me a picture of ganito. Tapos, isi-send nyo lang sa GC nung Benlock natin na kasama si ma'am. Yan. May sumali kayo May prize yung mga mananalo dito. Okay. So, again po, next slide na. So, for the first round, bring me a screenshot of your favorite mobile game. Kahit anong laro, guys. Kahit anong game. Basta pwedeng laruin sa phone or send nyo lang sa GC. Ayun, Tara. Ay, Senon, parang ngayon ata yan, May dalawa lang. Ano to, guys? Send lang kayo. Ay, paunahan ba? Paunahan ba gusto nyo? O paramihan? Okay. Ayan. Uy, mamaya na lang pala namin i-announce yung mga winners. Mamimili na lang daw sila sa mga sinend. Ang yabang naman ng meeting. Next po, round 2. Bring me a picture of your favorite pet. Kahit anong pet, guys. Dog, cats, kahit favorite pet. Ay! Taray naman ng pusa ni Carlos. Yayamanin. Okay, thank you po sa mga nag-send. Next round. Next slide po. Bring me a picture of one of your favorite selfie or portrait picture. Mga picture nyo, guys. Kahit anong picture nyo na feeling nyo confident kayo doon na parang naramdaman nyo na, uy, fuck, ganda. Uy! Ang taray naman siya. Taray ni Siena, nasa sa ibang bansa. Ay! Jowa! Phoebe, sana all. Okay, next round po. Bring me your group picture together with your friends. Kahit yung mga research picture nyo, guys, mga friends nyo nung junior high, senior high, kahit anong picture, nakasama nyo yung mga friends. Uy, ang kapal naman ni Ivo. Kasama sa dinner. Okay, next po, next round. Bring me your family picture during New Year's Eve. Kahit anong, na lang guys, kahit anong occasion, basta family picture na meron kayo sa phone. Yung family, hindi lang naman siya yung mga kadugo natin. Pwede rin yung mga tinuturing natin na home, gano'n, family. Di ba, Phoebe? Pwede ka na mauli mag-send. Sorry. Kahit sino, guys, basta family. Pwede rin friends kung tinuturing nyo silang family. Alright. Uy, walang family. Ayan. Ang tari, parang ang daming nag-backring. Wala na nga habol, guys. Okay, next round. Alam ko malapit natin. Ayan! Bring me a screenshot of your convo with your crush. Kahit tinakban, guys, okay lang. Kahit kinrap o kaya may mga binuro-biro kayo, okay lang. Basta convo nyo with crush. Gusto lang namin malaman kung ano bang ganap sa inyo. Ay, just mo. Aray! Wala. Si Sean lang. Wala na kayong chat dyan. Okay, next round. Bring me a video of your classmate na nagtitiktok. Ay! Eto guys, kahit anong video ng mga kaklase niyo na nagtitiktok, kahit kasama kayo or hindi, okay lang. Ang taray reasons. Wala na lalaban sa TikTok namin nila. Next slide po. Thank you so much sa mga nagsisend, guys. Ayan. Bring me a picture of your favorite teacher. Pwede nung junior high, senior high, LM. Pwede rin yung college, syempre. Kahit ano. Kahit kasama kayo dun sa picture or picture nila. Ang galing naman siya. Wala na. Si Sir, ano lang, favorite teacher niyo. Alam ko madami pa. Pwede pa po mag-send. Thank you so much guys sa mga nagsisend. Meron pa ba? Next slide po. Yan. Bring me a picture that makes you laugh. Kahit meme, kahit anong picture nyo na na-capture nyo before, na pag nakikita nyo, parang nababrighten up yung mood nyo, gano'n, natatawa kayo. Kahit anong picture. Grabe, sikat na sikat mo si Sean. Wala nang lalaban kay Sean. Oo, si Sean lagi nagpapasaya sa atin. Ay, wala nang lalaban. Ayan. Next slide po. Bring me a picture that gives you peace. Doon naman tayo sa sa seryoso. Ay, seryoso. some picture or kahit anong video na pag nakikita nyo, parang nakakalma kayo, parang nagiging at peace yung utak nyo. Ganun. Comfort zone. Ay! Taray ni Jojo, jowa. Wala na mag-flex dyan. Ayan. Thank you talaga guys sa mga nagsisend ah. Uy, taray ni Sheena, photographer. Uy. Okay, next slide po. Kumapit na tumatapos. Ayun, guys, tapos na yung short game natin. So, bakit ba ako nag-ask sa inyo na magpa-send ng mga picture? Actually, yung mga picture or video is a type of media. Pwede siyang specifically for digital media kasi ano siya, something na nakikita natin through gadgets or technology, and yun yung pinaka-topic natin today. So, relate natin siya mamaya. Next slide po. So, maiksi lang naman yung lesson na tatalakayin natin guys today. So, sana makinig tayong lahat, okay? So, during this discussion about media literacy, i-answer natin yung 5 W's na question and 1 H. So, ano ba yung 5 W's na yun? First of all, what is media literacy? Who are the people involved? When do we apply this topic? Where can we use this? Why is it important? And para sa akin, yung pinakamahalaga dito is yung last question, which is how can we be a media literate person? Okay? But before anything else, doon muna tayo sa dalawang word na included sa topic natin, which is media and literacy. Yung word na media, ay, balik. Ayan. Yung word na media, ang ibig sabihin niya, para lang sa atin, like general definition, media is the communication outlets or used to store and deliver information. So kapag narinig natin yung media, para sa akin yung first word na marerelate ko doon or papasok sa utak ko is communication, media communication. While literate, literacy usually describes the ability to read and write. Parang kapag isa kang tao na literate sa isang bagay, may skills ka and competence, assessment na tinataglay para makamtan yon. So, pag pinagsama, which is media literacy, next slide po, ayan. So, hindi ko na babasahin yung mga nasa screen masyado, guys. I-explain ko na lang siya. So, what does it mean? Sa module natin and sa PowerPoint na yan, nagbigay ako ng hindi ako nagbigay yan. Nagbigay yung mga researchers and scholars ng tatlong main definition ng media literacy. Pero yung pinaka-importante sa akin dun is yung first one, ayan, which is to access, analyze, evaluate, and communicate media, messages, in a wide variety of forms. So, yun yung pinaka-definition na. The word literacy is something about na, alam mo yun, parang alam natin kung paano i-analyze yung isang media na nakikita natin. And media sobrang broad nun, guys. So, hindi lang siya na nalilimit sa mga pictures or videos, yung mga nababasa natin po sa Facebooks, ganyan. Mayroong mga texts, memes, viral videos, social medias, video games, advertising. But all media shares one thing. Meron siyang common sa lahat ng yon, which is someone created it and it was created for a reason. And understanding that reason is the basis of media literacy. So, next slide po. Ayan, alam nyo ba guys na pinagtatalunan ng mga researchers and scholars yung meaning, scope, or range ng media literacy? So, di ba parang nagtatalo sila na ano lang ba yung media literacy, saan ba ito nalilimit? Gumawa na lang sila, which is yung Media Literacy National Leadership Conference sa US noong 1993 ng 5 essential concepts that are necessary for analysis of media messages. So, andyan yung 5 yon. Next slide po. Yan. So, ayan yung 5 essential concepts na na-come up nila despite dun sa broad meaning and variety of media literacy, media concepts, and anything about this stuff. So, next po. Ayan. Ayan guys. So, di ba nga sinabi ko sa inyo na maraming meaning yung media, like meron siyang a wide variety of definition and ranges. So, meron namang tayong i-discuss dito na hindi ito yung media literacy. Andiyan pa ba kayo? So, kapag may ipa-flash ako sa next screen, magta-thumbs up or thumbs down. Mag-thumbs up or thumbs down lang kayo kung sa tingin niyo media literacy yun. Ganun lang. So, mag-thumbs up kayo. Next slide po. So, first one, criticizing media. Sa tingin nyo ba yung pag-criticize natin ng media, media literacy yun? Thumbs up or down? Kung sa tingin nyo, oo. Uy, okay lang, walang maling sagot. Yan, thumbs up or down. Yan. So, tama naman guys, na yung criticizing media, part siya ng media literacy kasi nga kinikriticize natin yung ina-analyze natin. Pero pag criticizing itself lang, na parang kinikriticize mo lang, gina-judge mo lang, hindi siya solely media literacy. So kapag ayun lang mismo, hindi. Pero kapag ina-analyze mo, ina-assess mo, yun yung media literacy. So next slide po. Second, sa tingin nyo ba kapag nagpo-produce tayo ng media literacy na yon? Thumbs up kung oo, thumbs down kung hindi. Yan. Tama din naman guys, kapag nagpo-produce tayo ng media, part siya ng media literacy, but gaya nga nung binigay kong first definition sa criticizing, yung pag-produce lang ng media itself is not actually media literacy, but rather nagpo-produce ka lang ng media. But when the media na pinoproduce mo is pinag-isipan mo maigi, in-analyze mo kung ano ba yung magiging epekto nito sa mga makakanood or makakakita, doon na papasok yung media literacy. So, next slide po. Next naman, teaching with media. Sa tingin nyo ba kapag tinuturo natin yung media or gumagamit tayo ng media habang nagtuturo is a form of media literacy? So, thumbs up kung oo, thumbs down kung hindi. Thank you so much po sa mga nag-react. Tama din naman guys, na kapag nagtuturo tayo ng media, nagtuturo tayo gamit yung media, is part din siya ng media literacy, but same lang silang lahat na kung yun lang yung gagawin natin, it will not be definitely media literacy. So next po, last na to. Ay, last na ba? So, viewing media from multiple perspective. Ayan, madali lang yan guys. Thumbs up kung sa tingin nyo media literacy and thumbs down kung hindi. Uy, very active naman si Paul. Wala na iba mag-react. Ayan, thank you Daniel sa mga nag-react. Wala na, magta-thumbs up. Ayan, kay Nicole, kay Sean. Kala mo talaga. Tama guys. Media literacy, kapag biniview lang natin yung isang bagay sa perspective ng isang tao or one's point of view, hindi siya actually media literacy. So, kailangan natin siyang tignan outside the box. Or for example, ito yung tinitignan natin, kailangan andun tayo sa taas. Hindi lang pwedeng dito, dito, or dito. Gets niyo yun? Kasi kapag nandito ka lang sa tapat or front niya, ito lang yung nakikita mo. Kapag nandito naman, ito lang. Pero kung andito ka sa taas, parang kita mo lahat-lahat. Ganun yung media literacy. Kailangan natin siyang tignan from multiple perspective or different points of view. Kailangan nating ilagay yung sarili natin sa shoe. Sa shoe. Kailangan natin ilagay sarili natin sa shoes. Sa shoes ng ibang tao makakabasa or makakanood. Next slide po. Okay, alam ko ito na talaga yung last, final na. Knowing what to watch and what not to watch. So sa tingin nyo ba kapag alam mo lang kung ano yung dapat panoorin at hindi dapat panoorin, media literacy na yun? Sure kayo? Thumbs up? Kung oo, thumbs down kung hindi. Ayan. Alam mo ba guys, sasabi rin sa module natin, kapag alam lang natin what to watch and what not to watch, kapag yun lang, hindi siya actually media literacy. Pero ang sabi doon, dapat we should watch carefully and think critically. Ganon. Pero yung pag basis or knowledge na alam natin na ito ba yung dapat na content para sa akin, para sa TikTok. Di ba guys yung TikTok, for example, nag-scroll kayo, tapos nakita niyo yung mga lumalabas sa mga FYP ng jowa niyo, puro babae. Ibig sabihin, puro babae din yung mga pinapanood niya. Kasi di ba ganun yun? Ganun yung algorithm niya na kung ano yung mga nilalike mo o yung mga video na pinapanood mo talaga, hindi talaga yung lalabas doon. Kaya hindi nila pwedeng sabihin na, charot. Okay, next slide po. Okay. Next naman is about sa mga challenges na kinakaharap natin sa teaching media. So, meron dun tatlo. Yung first challenge is how can we teach media literacy? Second, how do we measure it? And the last one is how do we evaluate the success of teaching media literacy? So yung tanong na kailangan natin laging isa-isip guys is media literacy best understood as a means of inoculating children against the potential harms of media or as a means of enhancing their appreciation of the literacy merits of the media? Kasi syempre, di ba, yung mga bata, yung mga sinasabing kids dyan, sila yung hindi kagaya natin na wala pa yung sobrang rational thinking na pag nakita nila to, ay, hindi to dapat gawin, hindi to dapat kayahin. Kasi nga, di ba, ang tendency guys, kapag yung mga bata nakakapanood ng something sa TV, nakikita nila in person, yun yung ginagaya nila. So, isa yun sa mga challenges na kinakaharap natin sa pagtuturo ng media literacy. Kasi lahat naman tayo nagsisimula sa pagkabata and kaya ayun yung nakalagay sa question niya. Next slide po. Ayan. So, next naman is about digital literacy. So, meron ba kayong idea kung anong pinagkaiba or pinagkapareho ng media literacy sa digital literacy? So, any brave soul? Oh, brave soul? Kaninong line yun? Anyone na gusto magsalita? Pili ko magtatawag ako. wala pong magre-recite. Hindi, kahit ano lang guys. Ano lang yung nakikita nyo or naiisip nyo na differences or similarity ng media sa digital literacy. Ay, walang mag-raise ng hand. Sige, si ano na lang. Si Carlos. Hello po. Paki-unmute po, Juan Carlos Alarm. Nandaman. Ay, si Paul na lang. Gusto mo ba, Paul? Uy, kahit ano lang, opinion lang, guys. Uy, Paul, sige na. Walang kahit sino. May idea. Ayun. Nag-type na si Paul. Basahin natin. Ayun. Tama din naman. So, wala na kayong ibang ano. Kahit sino guys. Kahit i-type nyo na lang para nakakaya pala mag-on mic kapag ganito. Pili ko kahit ako hindi rin ako mag-on mic. Tama. So, kung may iba pa kayong idea guys, pwede nyo i-chat dyan. Pero actually, alam nyo ba na yung digital literacy is part siya ng, or subset siya, subset? Abstract algebra. Yung digital literacy, subset siya ng media literacy. In a way na media sila pareho, pero itong digital literacy, tama si Paul, is yung mga nakikita natin online through our technologies or gadgets. So, yun lang yung main differences nila. Next po. Ayan, so halos nabigay ko na rin yung mini. Okay, next slide. Ayan. Kaya ano yung picture na nilagay ko dyan. So, bago ko simulan guys, kilala nyo ba yung nasa picture? Thumbs up nga kung oo. Kilala nyo ba sila? Uy, usot sa TikTok. May filter pa to. Wala, si Aliyah lang. Sino ba may kilala dito? Ayan, si Micah. Ayan, si Sherry. Ay, sige guys. Doon muna tayo sa meaning or definition. Meron akong dalawang nilagay na tao na importante sa digital literacy. So first one is si Latham. Binigyan niya ng pinakahulugan niya yung salitang digital or yung phrase rather na digital literate person. So sabi niya na yung digital literate person daw is skilled at deciphering and understanding the meanings of images, sounds, and the subtle uses of words so they could use the match medium of communication to the kind of information being presented. So ang pinaka-point lang dito nila guys is yung digital literate na person daw, naiintindihan natin kung ano ba yung medium na ginamit ng isang tao sa paggawa ng media na yun. For example, yung nasa picture na yan, di ba ayan si Tony, tapos yun yung mga uso ngayon na may mga filter na kung ano yung makuha mo, parang yun ibibigay niya sa'yo pag maraming likes sa TikTok. Alam ko may binigyan na siya ng Rhino Plus DM, yung pampatangos ng ilong. Nasa next slide yun, guys. So, ang point ko lang dito, sabi kasi nila Cam, yung digital literate person, naiintindihan natin, bakit niya ba ginawa to? Bakit niya ba ginawa to? Parang ano ba yung reason niya, bakit siya namimigay ng iPhone 14? Para lang ba sumikat, ganon, clout lang, or baka naman masyado siya maraming pera, kailangan niya ng mamahagi, ganon. So, next slide po. Okay. Next naman na importanteng tao sa digital literacy is si Paul Gister. Sabi niya, yung digital literacy daw, it is the ability to understand and use information in multiple formats from a wide range of sources when it is presented via computers. So, basically, sinasabi ni Paul is yung pagiging flexible nung digital media na meron tayo. Kasi di ba guys, iba't ibang audience, iba't ibang way tayo ng pagpe-present ng media. For example, ako, sa Facebook, parang ayan, pala memes ako, pala share ako ng memes. Pero pag sa Instagram, parang aesthetic person, na aesthetic yung food, gano'n, aesthetic yung view. Tapos sa Twitter, ando lahat ng mga rants ko sa buhay. Sa TikTok, yung mga advices, ganyan, mga quotes. Yun yung parang point dito ni Paul Gister sa pagiging digital literate natin. So next po. Pero syempre, yung pinaka-short or brief definition of digital literacy, it is the ability to locate, evaluate, create, and communicate information on various digital platforms. So kung mapapansin nyo guys, halos same lang sila ng meaning ng media literacy. Ang pinagkaiba nga lang is yung medium or kung saan natin nakikita yung media, which is dito sa digital literacy, makikita natin siya sa digital platforms. Yun lang actually yung pinagkaiba nila. Next slide. So, meron tayo dito 6 actually na computer literacy tool na dapat familiar tayo today ayon kay Shafira and Hughes na ginawa nila noong 1996. So, the first one is tool literacy, we have resource literacy, and social structural. Yung name naman speaks for itself. Andun lang din mismo yung definition nila. Ang point niya lang dito, next slide din po. Ayan. Ang point niya lang dito na ito yung parang mga basic skills and competences na dapat pinopossess natin or meron tayo para maging digital literate tayong tao. Next slide. So aside from this one, ito naman, yung 6 na binigay ko sa inyo kanina is yung basic skills and competencies. Ito namang skills and competencies na i-discuss natin na next is group siya or kumbaga pinagsama-sama na siya ni, ano pangalan niya? Baude. So ito yung 4 groups na meron tayo. Yung first one is, next slide, underpinnings. So alam nyo ba guys, sinerch ko pa kung anong meaning ng underpinnings. And actually, underpinnings means a set of ideas, motives, or devices that justify or form the basis for something. So sabi niya dito yung underpinnings, ayun yung mga skills and competencies that supports or enable everything else within digital literacy. Kumbaga ito yung basics na dapat tinataglay natin. Underpinnings, ganun, foundation of everything. Yeah. Next slide po. Second naman is background knowledge. So parang dito papasok yung pagiging researcher natin or FBI, gano'n, mga pag-iimbestiga sa buhay. Knowing where information on a particular subject or topic can be found, kung saan ba natin siya pwedeng makita, saan ba siya nanggaling, sinong gumawa nun, yun. Parang background check, kumbaga. Next slide. So next naman is central competencies. So ito yung mga skills the majority ng scholars sinasabi nila na core, kumbaga basics din sa digital literacy. So meron diyang 5. Ayan yung sinasabi nila sa central competencies. And next slide po. Another one, or the last set that we have here is attitudes and perspective. Parang ito yung last group natin. Kumbaga yung kanina, merong about cognitive, emotional, cognitive, social. Ito na yung about sa emotional part ng digital literacy. Yun yung attitudes and perspective. So we have their independent learning and moral or social literacy. So next slide. Ayan guys, para sa last part ng topic natin today, since nasagot na natin yung 5 W's na question. So sa what? Yan, I believe na-bait ko naman sa inyo yung definition ng media literacy. Sa who, sino ba yung mga taong involved doon? Hindi lang naman yun yung mga binanggit kong researchers or scholars, but rather tayo or yung sarili natin. Tayo yung pinaka nagbe-benefit or naapektuhan ng pagiging media literate natin. Next one is when. Kailan ba natin ito nagagamit? Siyempre araw-araw kasi nga itong digital world natin ngayon. Ito na yung napapanahon ngayon. Andito na tayo ngayon. So yun yung sasagot sa when, sa where, saan. Ewan ko. So sa where, saan ba natin siya mai-apply? Siyempre sa everyday lifestyle, real life situation, or araw-araw na pamumuhay. And sa why, bakit ba natin kailangan maging media literate? Siyempre, para sa akin, kailangan natin maging media literate na person. I mean, ang dali lang sabihin, di ba, na kailangan natin maging media literate. Madali lang siya i-report, madali lang siya i-discuss. Pero yung part na i-apply mo na sa sarili mo, parang pagkatapos ng topic na to, kahit ako kanina, or chika, napaisip din ako ganun, kung paano ba siya gagawa ng impact ganun. Why is it very important to us to be a media literate person? Ganun. So, syempre kasi tayo yung pinaka-naapektuhan, gaya nga nung dito na papasok yung lahat ng questions na sinagot natin. Tayo yung nagbe-benefit, pero tayo rin yung pwedeng hindi makakuha ng good effects from this digital world. And lastly is how to be media literate. So, magbibigay lang ako ng 3 tips sa inyo, guys, para maging media literate person, or digital literate. Next one is be a smart consumer. So magkukwento ako or magbibigay ako ng tips based on my own experiences. So sa una, be a smart consumer. Kaya ako sinabi yan, guys. Yung sa pag-Facebook kasi, parang ang dami nating makikita. Sobrang daming post, sobrang daming content. Pero lahat ba yun para sa atin? Parang lahat ba dun kailangan kong intake sa buhay? Yung iba ba dun kailangan kong gawing motivation? Dapat tawanan ko lang, damdamin ko, ganun. Kasi alam nyo, nung summer, pag nag-TikTok ako, siyempre, yung mga dati, mga movie clips yung pinapanood ko sa TikTok, mga sayaw, ganyan. Pero may mga part doon na puro mga sad post na yung napunta sa akin, pe. May isa lang akong nilike na sad post na in-like, tas yung video niya yung parang umaandar na kotse, tas yung may quotes lang doon. So, mula nung nilike ko nun, lumabas sa TikTok FYP ko, puro mga malulungkot na post na. Tapos dumating ako sa point nung last year to, bago ako mag-work. Kasi guys, working student ako. Ay, alam ko na yan. Na puro mga sad post nila sa buhay, pag sa jowa, ayan, parang maghihiwalay kayo kapag ganito, ganyan. 5 signs na hindi ka na mahal ng jowa mo. Siyempre ako to, doon ko na ngayon, nililista ko lahat ng mga nakikita ko doon, tapos papakiramdaman ko. Yung, di ba, kailangan natin maging smart consumer. Kung kailangan ba natin i-take effect to sa buhay, maka-apekto ba to sa atin? Kapag may nakita kang post na feeling mo hindi naman para sa'yo or wala nang magandang dulot sa'yo, pwede ka naman scroll, skip mo yun. Kaya nga yung mga nakikita kang post na yun na it is free for us to unfriend, na mamblock, na mag-mute ng tao. Please, grabe, sobrang totoo nun. Kasi dati, ay feeling ko alam niyo na to. Di ba parang may nakaaway nga ako dati, ganyan-ganyan. Which is sa PUP lang din. Chika. Pero nahiya ako mag-unfriend or block ng tao. Kasi sabi ko, ano ba isipin nila, affected ako masyado. Ganon. So wala, minute ko na lang hanggang sa lumipas yung mga buwan, nag-focus ako sa ibang bagay, tsaka ako naka-move on. Which is, parang mas pinatagal ko lang yung process. Nag-drama. Legit. Kapag habang tumatanda tayo, marirealize natin na yung group of people or circle na meron tayo, papaliit siya ng papaliit, pero pasolid siya ng pasolid. Diba? Ang haba nun. Tip number 2, next slide po. Ayan, recognize point of view. So, para sa akin, para maging media literate person tayo, gaya na una ko sinabing, we should perceive something from different or multiple point of views. Kailangan dito tayo tumingin sa taas, hindi lang sa harap, sa likod, sa kanan, sa kaliwa, but rather dito, outside the box. Kasi kapag, alam nyo guys, kapag na-recognize natin yung point of view nila, kapag nilagay natin yung sarili natin sa situation nila, ma-realize natin or ma-analyze, ma-assess natin why they are posting that type of content, why they are creating such media. Maintindihan natin na, kaya pala siya puro sad po sa buhay kasi walang papasin sa kanya, ganun. Parang, feeling niya na, hindi, I mean, parang parang nakakatawa pala, gano'n. Parang ang dami nagre-react. Doon niya nararamdaman yung validation. Ganun yun, sa recognize a point of view para maging media. Kasi nga, di ba, to be a media literate person, you must analyze something. So, para ma-analyze natin yung isang bagay, kailangan natin maintindihan yung pinanggagalingan. Okay, tip number 3 and lastly is to create media responsibly. Siyempre, hindi lang naman puro tayo panonood, pagtitingin, pag-scroll, pagbasa, ganyan. On some part of our lives, gumagawa rin tayo guys ng content. Nagpo-post din tayo, siyempre, di ba? Nag-i-story ka din, nag-tweet ka din, may pinopost kang kahit anong video, may chinachat ka. Kasi nga, di ba yung media, hindi lang naman siya limited doon, pero super lawak na. With options na. So, nag-a-analyze tayo maigi ng media, ina-assess natin, nire-recognize natin yung different point of view. Pero para saan? Siyempre, kapag tayo na yung nandun sa part na tayo naman yung i-judge, kailangan yung media or something na ginawa natin is, we made it responsibly na hindi maraming masasaktan, hindi maraming maapektuhan, parang ganun. May nabasa akong quote, ito, favorite ko to. Sabi doon, kapag daw yung energy, English kasi hindi ko na siya super maalala, pero sabi doon, yung energy daw sa isang room, hindi ka dapat magpadala doon, but rather influence energy. Ganun. Basta ganun siya and super ganda na. So, doon na katapos na report ko guys. And to end this one, hindi na ako magbibigay ng malupit na quote or kahit anong kasabihan dyan, but this is just a daily reminder for us to take a pause. Kasi nga, alam nyo, may nakita akong quote, sabi doon, don't let yourself rushed by the internet. Kasi daw yung mga people, basta ito yung context, yung mga people, hindi naman nila pinapost yung failures. And kung iti-take ko yun sa side ko, alam nyo ba guys, chika na naman, nung last sem natin, di ba hindi kasi ako hindi ako part ng lister, hindi ako president lister, hindi ako din lister, wala talaga. Kasi kulang ako ng grade. Kasi nga hirap, super nag-struggle talaga ako. Hindi ako iiyak. Sorry. Tapos parang nakikita ko kayo, mga classmates ko na nagpo-post na ganito yung grades. Alam niyo ba, sobrang nalulungkot ako na nade-depress ako. Napansin niyo, parang hindi ako makapag-react. Legit, hindi ako nabibitter. Like, masaya ako para sa inyo. Pero yung part lang na mula nung kinder ako to LM, high school, senior high, sanay ako na with honors ako, ganun. Gumraduate ako sa salutatorian, with honors ako, nananalo ako sa Tapos ngayong college, parang anyari. Parang, masyado akong nawala ng time sa pag-aaral tapos nag-focus ako sa work. Kaya nung bigayan ng grades, nakita ko na ang baba ng grades ko. Ayun. So yun lang yung na-realize ko doon na we should take a pause. Tsaka kaya naman natin bumawi. Lagi natin tignan na everything happens for a reason. Kahit ang cliche niya pakinggan, pero that's true. And doon na po nagtatapos yung topic natin for today about media literacy. Thank you po.
Ayan. So, thank you so much, Miss Shayne, for the wonderful talk you have given us. Ang daming mahihita talaga doon sa topic na diniscuss niya regarding media and digital literacy. So, maganda yung distinction niya ng media literacy pati ng digital literacy. So, ang media ay ang medium at ang content ay from digital. Ikaw, partner, ano ang nalaman mo sa sinabi ng ating last speaker?
Napakagaling nga ni Miss Shayne. I learned that digital literacy shares many of the challenges as media literacy, such as how it should be taught and how it can be measured and evaluated. So once again, if you have insights or takeaways regarding the talks of our speakers, feel free to utilize our Zoom chat box. We are more than happy to read what you've learned today from our resource speaker.
At ayun na nga, partner. Natapos na ang 3 resource speaker natin for today. Isang heart react nga para sa ating 3 speakers. At kung maraming natutunan, so give them some love, show some heart reacts. Okay, thank you so much.
Yan, wow, halatang marami silang natutunan mula sa ating resource speaker. And to prove that, since mahilig ang mga math majors sa proving, magbabasa tayo ng mga takeaways ng ating audience sa mga nagdaang talk.
By the way, nasabi ba namin kanina na may prize ang mapipili nating takeaways? O di ba? May natutunan ka na, may chance ka pang magkaroon ng prize. So, ngayon, simulan na nating magbasa ng mga takeaways ng ating audience.
So, ang unang takeaway ay mula kay Trixie Go. So, babasahin ko na yung takeaway niya. The main takeaway I got from this webinar is that the education system in the Philippines hasn't properly catered to the diverse culture that resides and exists in the country. This has led to a large literacy gap within different walks of life and a clear distinction, ang ingay na asa ko, of academic achievement with other countries. There doesn't seem to be a huge focus on methods that promote actual student learning and comprehension when conducting an educational institution due to political reason. But based on the topics today, multicultural and social literacy could help bridge the gap that is seen with Filipinos who are well off and those who are not when it comes to actual learning, which is what we should aim to do as future teachers. Comprehension, critical thinking, and independent learning for students. Meaning we should focus on what works best for the students to understand the topic and not be limited to rote learning or passive learning, as well as include usable lessons while a student is in school that could help them in the workplace, such as vital 21st century skills. Ones that could help them be more innovative, analytical, socially adapted, and resilient to any situation they may face. No matter the difference in terminologies, approaches, and theories used, a blend of teaching methods could help create a more diverse learning experience that doesn't leave any student behind and actually support them to work beyond their limitations, at least from my beliefs and perspective. Thank you sa napakahabang takeaway na yon. Mukhang marami kang natutunan sa mga speakers. Ikaw ba, partner?
Ayan. So, sunod na takeaway, kanino siya galing? Ayan. So, galing kay Edeline Alcantara. So, she said, we learned that different cultures directly and indirectly affect us in life and more so in education. Everyone is valuable and no culture is inferior or superior. We can learn a lot from each other and we should respect one another as no person is the same. Ayan. Truly. Ayan. Words of wisdom coming from Miss Edeline. And thank you dahil evident na marami kang natutunan doon sa mga naging talk ni and so dahil sa culture to kay Sir Joshua. And thank you so much. And talaga namang full of learnings ang naging discussion natin today. Congratulations sa mga napiling takeaways. So our group will contact you later for the details of your prize. Also, as we have mentioned earlier, if may mga questions po kayo na gustong itanong regarding the topic, we are more than happy to answer it with all our knowledge and also with the help of our professor, Dr. Corpus.
So overall, in today's webinar, we've learned about 21st century literacies, which are globalization and multicultural literacy, social literacy, media literacy, and cyber or digital literacies.
Thank you so much for that, partner. At this time, we shall have a photo opportunity. We request everyone to open your cameras. So I have a full one panel with me. So I'll take the screenshot po. Open your cameras. Okay. 1, 2, 3, smile. Isa pa po. 1, 2, 3, smile. Ayan. Thank you so much. And so, before we conclude this webinar, so wait lang, announce pala muna namin yung nanalo sa icebreaker kanina. So, pa-share screen po. So the last round was all about yung yung mga ulam na nabibili sa karinderya. Is that right? Tama po, no? Yeah. So, and so the twist there is all answers ending with O and A will not count. So, habang nagdi-discuss ang ating mga speakers kanina, our group manually counted. And for our winner sa ating icebreaker, we'll have, sino po ang winner? So, congratulations, Group 1. So, accumulating to win 2 rounds, winning 2 rounds. So, Ivan, we will contact you regarding the price of your group sa ating icebreaker. Thank you so much for participating. Ayan. So, thank you for playing. Ayan. So, ayan, again, before we conclude this webinar, a few reminders. The evaluation form will be available right after the webinar session. It also contains the quiz for this session. We will be requiring a proof of attendance, so make sure that you have your screenshots on this webinar. Also, we remind you to read the instructions clearly and answer the evaluation form properly.
We truly hope that you've learned a lot today. Thank you for listening, and may we be prepared to teach 21st century learners as an equipped 21st century future teachers. Once again, this is Christine De Castro.
And this is Jose Frias, serving as your masters of ceremonies for today. With pride in our hearts, let us all sing together the PUP hymn.
aming kamay, maaralang dakila. Iumpipin ng
The floor is now open for our professor, Dr. Corpus.